we'll do it live.
Hey, welcome to Saturday Night Special, the most
the most show on the internet.
The most prepared show on the internet. Nobody waits till after we've started to start putting their shit in. We've got a pretty cool show for you. We're still building it as we're talking, so
like Minecraft.
We might not have a really good show, but we're still building as we go. But we've got Cliff Chiang coming. We've got the best and worst covers. We've got the WTF story of the week. We've got movie wars, cartoon wars. We've got so much. So strap in as you get. Nope, wrong podcast. Cue that music.
Warning. The following video contains material that some viewers may find harmful or could be traumatizing to some audiences and doesn't reflect the opinion of Renovision. Viewer discretion advised.
The layers of that intro. It's like traveling back in time.
So how's everybody doing on this lovely Saturday night?
Oh man, doing so good. Just got back from
couldn't be better.
Just got back from like a 3-hour hike with my kids.
Tony. Good evening, Ed. Mr. TK himself in the house.
What's up, TK?
So, I'm pretty excited. We're going to be doing our redeeming interview tonight. So I hope everybody's here. There will never be a new year for Kyle's curtains. I show my wife these comments because for some reason she loves these curtains. She picked them out. She loves them. She's like, fuck them. She's like, the fuck is going on? But yeah, so anything interesting happen to anybody?
Not this week.
Damn.
Well,
That's it.
I had a guy. So I'm a lawyer, you guys know that. And some of my job is litigation where there's deadlines and the parties can kind of agree to extend deadlines. I had a guy who asked me to extend deadlines for a couple of different motions up till yesterday, right? And I was fine with that because I had a motion that was pending and I wanted to extend the deadline to respond for that. And so I agreed to that. And so I submitted my response yesterday like we were supposed to, and he didn't. And so he starts emailing me at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, hey, can I make my problem your problem? It's like, why does everybody want to make their problem my problem? Why is that the case? I just ignored him. I said, you know what? You got 7 hours to figure this out before it's actually not the deadline. I'm gonna let you figure this out.
And just so everybody knows, as people are coming into the chat here, we did a really cool interview on Thresholds of Reality. If you guys aren't liked and subscribed to that yet, it was a really cool interview with a.
He calls himself the guide to the afterlife. Now, the Thresholds of Reality is such an interesting change of pace. You guys, we cover a lot of pop culture on Saturday Night Special, on Renovision, on Absolute Geek, cover a lot of pop culture topics. This is something that's outside of pop culture. Like this is the edges of normal or paranormal. It's kind of an interesting mix of unknown and we have been looking for people with near-death experiences. And that's kind of where we're digging in or diving in right now. And Scott Taylor came on our show, and he runs a group called, what was it called, Kyle? The Awareness Institute?
Yeah.
And he's figured out a way to give you a near-death experience without the death part.
What?
I would hope so.
Well, you know,
Wow.
and that was like the first series of questions we asked him, like, is there a risk? Is this dangerous? And he's like, no. We're not like drowning anybody or trying to hurt anybody. We just use sound. It's all sound based. And we use vibrations, and it puts you into a certain state of mind where you can actually experience what people experience during near-death experiences. And so fascinating. And he had a very powerful story that he told about his own, what he called a shared death experience, where his girlfriend.
What he means by vibrations is DMT. No, I'm just joking.
No, I don't think that's far off. I don't think that's far off.
Like binaural sound waves.
Yeah, it was like changing the frequency within your consciousness to like it was a. So what I did is after the episode, like I went to my mom and stuff, and I was like, all right. And he was talking about like this trigger point. So like, you know, the transition from life to death, you know, you go through the, you know, the white light, and you go to the, you know, to your divine, where you go over your whole life. And he was talking about what you do is you make a trigger point so that the living can, their consciousness can catch up with you and be part of that. So I went to my mom and dad and everyone. I was like, all right, find your trigger point. Let's all find our trigger point so that we might actually be able to get to use that, actually do what a lot of people don't get to do, and you don't really get to have that last goodbye. So, and my mom's like, what happens if it doesn't work? And I was like, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
all you did was we just agreed upon a you know, a memory. So it's not crazy, but
yeah, it happens. What happens,
So-
happens.
They used to have audio CDs that were compared to several different drugs. Like they had one that was cocaine, one that was marijuana. I just sent you a link in the Facebook. But binaural beats, they were basically sound waves that were triggered that were supposed to give you the same feeling that each drug gave you.
Yeah.
It was back 2017. Yeah, the article I sent was 2017, but I tried it and it didn't really do it.
yeah, if you're not too far off what he was saying, because like during his story, his first experience of his consciousness leaving and meeting with his friend and her son was he was actually concentrating to the heartbeat monitor as it was slowly slowing down, you know, as he was passing away. And that's actually what he was concentrating on, and that kind of cleared his mind. So his conscious, it was just a real interesting conversation to have. So it's worth checking out if you want.
We'll put the link in the chat, the link to the episode in the chat.
So, but I mean, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So let's. Anything
I
got
heard that
about-
there may or may not be someone on the Renovision channel that likes to try to achieve that by sticking a metal rod in his wiener and smacking it off against metal poles.
Who does that? Sounds fun.
I'm not gonna name names. Not here to name names.
How come my stuff doesn't show up in the chat? I put the link in the chat and it's not showing up.
Because you're not
Block.
you're not a manager.
You're blocked.
I think I'm blocked.
Should be talking all that shit.
It was just an interesting interview. It's worth checking out. It was
Why not just smoke a bowl? Just saying.
right. You know, and that's what he was kind of saying is whatever it takes for you to get to that point is kind of what he was getting at, right, Sam?
Well, no, I don't think that's what he was saying at all. I think he was saying that there are specific things that you should do or that you have to do in order to trigger these particular events, and that once you know how to do it, it is simple, but it takes knowing the tricks. And is basically trying to hack the mind using sound and vibration.
Matrix.
Isn't that what DMT does though? Is that it gives you that rush and makes you have hallucinations like you would before you die? Because that's what your body produces, correct?
Your body, yeah, DMT, I think, is what you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we've got Sonoran Toads here.
I got a batch of toads coming into lick.
Anyway, it was a fascinating episode. One of my favorite interviews so far. And I don't always say that. Like, we have been kind of stuck in psychic land for a while, and those are kind of hit and miss, I think. But this was an excellent interview.
Yeah. So
I'm pretty sure Peter Griffin, or should I say Lando Griffin, warned us against what licking toad will do to you. So don't do the toads.
Don't do the toads. So, what time is Cliff Chiang supposed to show up tonight, Sam?
He'll be on at about 6 p.m. our time, 8 p.m. Eastern time.
So about 45 minutes.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get the news started. So hopefully by then it'll be time for our awesome interview.
Let's get into it.
We'll have the Gimp from Pulp Fiction on.
Our first news story kicking off this brand new year for SNS. Big news in comic world is Greg Capullo, known for doing the art on Scott Snyder's Batman comics at DC, is jumping ship to Marvel. The news comes from Mark Millar and the creators behind the likes of Kick-Ass, who interviewed Capullo on his YouTube channel and wrote about it in his email newsletter. Millar said, "My friend Greg Capullo announced this week that he is leaving DC for Marvel, and this huge news. I was lucky enough to be the first person to talk to him about it on YouTube yesterday, and you get all the details here. The details include that Greg Capullo will first start with Marvel drawing covers, as Capullo is still busy with his creator-owned project Creech. And then once Creech is done, Capullo will do a 6-issue or 3 6-issue projects."
Yeah. So in the article they're talking.
Come on, Spider-Man. Come on, Spider-Man.
He says that's one that he would like to do, but he was like, "I'm 60. I'm getting too old to do these long drawn out runs and stuff," and he wants to be able to.
Shit, that dude is still jacked, man. 60 or not, he's still jacked.
Right.
You're too old for nothing, sir.
But that Creech is doing, it's like 110 pages or something. It's a lot of art in it, if you've looked at a lot of the examples. So, but that's his own.
He does all the art in that, right? He does interior and cover.
He what?
He does interior and cover for Creech, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and he usually does it for Batman, and he's a cool dude, man.
Great.
He's such a nice guy. Like he looks
really
like he'd be a dick, dude, but he's actually a really nice guy.
I thought that was Diamond Dallas Page.
That looks nothing like Diamond Dallas Page.
Diamond Dallas Page.
Say I knew what Diamond Dallas Page looks like. He said it looks like Diamond Dallas Page.
But yeah, I mean, how cool would it be? Like, I love how he draws. So, he is one of my favorite artists. So, and I love the way he draws Batman. And I agree with Matt. Imagine him drawing Spider-Man.
Or Venom. That'd be sick too.
Dude, it would just be it would be fire, whatever he does. But he's got it. But I don't want him to be teamed up with a crappy writer. You know what I mean? I don't want him to team up with fucking a crappy writer, because his art's so good. It needs to have a good story with it. You know what I mean? Like when him and Scott were doing, Batman New 52, I mean, it kind of trailed off towards the end, but the story was fire, and then it just had this great art to go with it, which made you run to the comic book store to pick up the next issue.
Right.
He's always paired with he's always been paired well with good writers though. Like, he's had Snyder for a long time. He's been with Millar. He's been with McFarlane. So I mean, he's always had decent writers to go with.
That's what I'm saying. I hope they keep that, and he doesn't get a shitty writer at Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see him paired with the likes of Ram V or Zeb Wells or anyone along those lines.
Yeah.
Or even Bendis if he comes back to Marvel, and as long as it's not, a lot of the other guys Marvel has, unfortunately.
So I mean, I'm stoked to see what he's going to do. Oh God, I'd be pissed. God, fuck, I gotta read damn Slot again.
Right.
Because whatever he's gonna draw, you're good, especially at Marvel. Everybody's gonna be picking that up.
Right.
So that's you're right, Ed. You're 100% right. I'm sure he can do that.
Yeah.
It's actually a good point, but I'm just fingers crossed.
Now the question is going to be, though, if he's going to be doing variant covers. So every Marvel book that comes out with like 70 variant covers is Capullo, because usually the Capullo variants on DC most times are, you can get them as a B cover or, low 1 in 10s. But I just wonder if he's going to start being like 1 in 50s, 1 in 100s, 1 in 25s.
I bet you what you'll see is he'll have the A cover. And then I bet you there'll be like a virgin, like 1 in 50 or something.
Like he does for DC right now.
Yeah. I bet you it'll be something like that. So, but yeah, come on, Spider-Man.
Right? Fingers.
JR off that shit.
He's kind of doing Spider-Man right there in the photo,
Fuck yeah, I'm going to Marvel. Marvel. So, it'll be cool.
It looks like he's passing a kidney stone in that picture a little bit, but
Or he had bad Taco Bell.
yeah.
Or he just got done being a shop teacher.
Oh.
Ooh, that
Joke.
joke. There you go.
All right. Yeah.
Wolverine
Dude, that would be
miniseries.
badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anything he's going to do is it's going to be fire. He's not one of those artists like that lets you down. So
I'm sure he built up a contract where he gets Avengers and Spider-Man and things like that he wants to do, that the Marvel staple,
Dude, that'd be badass.
Yeah.
Maybe when Hulk reboots, he'll do Hulk.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him paired with Donny Cates. That wouldn't be terrible, even though Donny Cates seems like he's gone off the deep end a little bit.
Well, I mean, when we talk about Ryan Otley, there's a Donny Cates little thing in there too. So when we get to that, we can talk about that.
But
moving on.
Yeah, excited for Capullo and Marvel, man. I think he's going to do great things. And like I said, please, Spider-Man.
Please.
Yeah.
To the comic gods.
Yeah.
Mainly will that shit.
In other news, the evolution of the Joker just took a surprise turn in his latest ongoing series. His comic, The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, features the Batman villain leaving a swath of destruction in Gotham City. But the latest issue that came out this week also contained a backup story that is garnering a lot of attention on social media. The short tale pairs Joker with the magician Zatanna, and instead of being a graphic, violent encounter, Zatanna casts a spell, leaving the Joker pregnant, the two on the verge of starting a complicated new family. The backup story, The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, #4, is by Matthew Rosenberg, Francisco Francavilla, and Tom Napolitano. It finds the Joker and his gang attempting to steal all of the water from the Gotham River. Luckily, Zatanna shows up and stops the Clown Prince of Crime in his tracks. Strung upside down, Zatanna drops the Joker into a pile of mud on the ground. After the Joker comments on how they'd make a lovely family, Zatanna casts a backward spell that states, "No one will ever have your baby."
So,
No one else
No one else
have
will ever have your baby. I didn't see the else.
So will the new thing be, and the Batmobile lost a wheel and the Joker had a kid?
So a lot of people have brought this to attention, but if you actually really read the issue, it's a mud baby. It's not a real spell. When he hits the mud, he swallows a bunch of mud, and later on he pukes it up, and it's like it's a giant pile of mud.
Dude, I had a mud. Dude, I had a mud baby today, dude. It was
After eating Taco Bell?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, it's
well, that's good that it just kind of got blown out of proportion.
yeah, it got run away with big time, and people neglected to, I don't know if it was a case of not actually reading the issue or just sharing this panel or making it a better story if you don't share everything, but
The
it's
Joker's
just like
pregnant. I knew you could get pregnant.
he throws up like a giant mud baby because he actually goes to an OBGYN doctor, and it's Dr. Phosphorus. And Dr. Phosphorus, it shows on the panel of him with his feet up in stirrups. And Dr. Phosphorus is looking at him, and he's like, well, I don't know where this baby is, or where it's going to come out, but go ahead and start pushing.
Jesus.
So DC kind of crosses where they're usually very woke. You almost get that feeling that where they hit you with the men can't have babies in this issue, because he's like, well, I don't know where that baby's going to come out, but go ahead and start pushing. And then Joker like stops and then throws up, and it's just a bunch of mud that he throws up. It's like a giant mud baby. So,
well, I mean, the title of the story.
I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well,
The story is kind of ironic, right?
Butt though, right?
What's that?
It technically would have came out of his butt eventually, because he threw it up.
Yeah, it would have been a butt baby, I guess.
So
I mean,
did it move? Like when it came out, or did they name it? Or what?
No, he didn't name it. It's just a
Maybe
pile of mud on the
Clayface.
ground, man.
Clayface Jr.
It does. Well, it does kind of look like Clayface when he throws it up. But
What happens when you have a baby early?
when you have what?
When you have a baby early, you throw it up.
I thought he meant out of wedlock.
When the baby comes out, it's already like a preteen size.
Yeah.
It's walking.
No
Yeah.
terrible twos.
So, it's going to hit its rebellious phase pretty early, and then it'll be joining like the corporate rat race to spite his father.
Imagine that he becomes like a mid-level manager.
Yeah.
See, there he is. There's the panel of him pregnant, and there's Dr. Phosphorus with his head between his legs.
Damn, his face is all up in there.
Yeah.
He's seen some shit.
The Raiders look like a bunch of winners.
With Stidham. Is Stidham killing it?
So yeah, there he is barfing up the mud baby. He's like, "Is that mud?" And the doctor's like, "I guess you weren't pregnant after all." Yeah.
Almost looks like the Toxic Avenger, and they got thrown in there.
And they didn't like be animated, right? The mud, it just was a pile of mud, right?
Well, I mean, he kind of looks like he's got an eye and a tooth right there, and he's like crying.
I'm gonna name my next mud baby the Joker.
And then he says, "I'd really love it if one of you would kill that thing, especially you, the skeleton. You're kind of the weak one, like you're a weak link today." So
why were they all in the room with him? For like moral support?
I guess, yeah. And the thing like runs away.
Is this like supposed to be like years ago or like now?
It's I don't know, but
oh look, he does
that like
right?
deforms, yeah.
Grows pretty fast.
2 years ago.
Look at that cut chin.
It is kind of like a baby Clayface, in, huh? But
Seems like they were trying to piss somebody off.
This is interesting. I guess that's an interesting.
It's funny. That's what it is.
thank God that they, covered it with the barrel of a gun.
Bet you was fucking like a baby holding an apple.
Actually, not a gun; it's a flamethrower. Like how the gorilla's got a chainsaw too. But
Nice. Well, there it is.
Wow.
The
don't
mud
believe
baby.
everything you read on the internet, kids.
First appearance
What
of the
the-
pregnant Joker.
Yeah. What's next for DC?
Never named one Joker.
Oh, we're-
Geoff John is adapting his creator-owned Geiger book for television. The comic book series was launched last year by Image Comics with artist Gary Frank and marked John's first creator-owned project from John's in over a decade. Deadline reports that the comic book series will be adapted for TV by Justin Simon alongside John's from Paramount Television Studios, with John's writing the plot, who will executive produce alongside, pilot, who will executive produce alongside James, I'm not going to even try and pronounce that name, for John's Mad Ghost Productions Company and Gary Frank. The project is also executive produced by Kyle Larson and Simons. What?
I mean, Geiger started out real good. I remember I was kind of excited to read it, and I just kind of trailed off on it.
I like Joe Doolin's icons from Paperboy, I think. I never got past the first issue. I know like Marco made a big deal about how good the first issue was, and I think you were talking about it, Kyle, and it's a book that never caught on for me.
I read the first few issues, and it's one of those ones where it started out good, but it's one of the ones that I just easily forgot about, as you know, there's so much other comic stuff going on.
So do you still give it a chance if you start off a book and then they adapt it?
Can't hear you, Hartman.
He likes it. Hoping they do it right.
Do you give it a chance even if you didn't like the book?
Yeah, I mean, I'd watch this series and give it a shot.
So, I mean, it kind of had a cool concept. I mean, had cool covers to it. I know that.
I haven't read it.
About a radioactive man, right?
Yeah.
They don't last.
Like Geiger counter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a Fitbit?
Yeah, like a
Fitbit.
I don't know if it's my internet or his, but he keeps cutting out really bad.
Hartman's in a tunnel right now.
Sorry, I'm not facing. Is this better?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was looking away.
Well, don't do that.
Joe says, Geiger, another indie series crowding my short boxes.
Oh, boo. That's a bummer.
All right, moving on.
Sell then. Nicolas Cage is Count Dracula in the first trailer for Universal horror comedy film Renfield. The trilogy begins with Renfield, X-Men First Class Nicholas Hoult storming into a support group led by Ghost Brandon Scott Jones, exclaiming, "I need to get out of a toxic relationship." Renfield explains that the relationship is with his boss, Count Dracula, played by scene stealer Nicolas Cage. God, this is already going to be amazing with Nick Cage being Dracula.
Right?
I thought, What We Do in the Shadows related film first.
Yeah.
Sounds like that.
The footage reveals Renfield has been gifted with the powers by Dracula in exchange for providing the iconic vampire with constant care and vitamins like incident nuns and cheerleaders to feast upon. The support group tells Renfield that he is stopped serving Dracula's needs and won't be able to grow to full power. The trailer ends with the compelling shot of Cage's Dracula looking directly into the camera and stating, "Now let's eat."
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I didn't even have to see what it's about. I was like, Nick Cage, Dracula, sold.
Just the vibe, the colors in the trailer alone. Like, I'm like, this looks like it's going to be fucking okay.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage has been practicing for this role for his entire life.
I think so. I still haven't seen that movie where he plays himself.
Oh,
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that any good? Has anybody actually seen that?
It's not bad.
It's pretty funny.
What's it on?
It's on a lot of different platforms.
I'll have to look it up tonight and watch it.
On
patrol.
I have to say that seeing Nicolas Cage in vampire makeup reminds me a lot of a younger John Travolta. And you know what they say. If you don't die Nicolas Cage, you live long enough to become John Travolta.
I'm just happy to see him in actually movies that I want to see. Like when Matchstick Men and those movies are coming out, like 10 years ago, I don't know. I didn't really have interest, but these new movies I'm seeing him in.
Superman Constellation Prize.
And I do want to remind anybody who is married that it's important that you and your wife establish
Lots of sex.
The secret tell in case one of you ends up in a face-off situation where Nicolas Cage or John Travolta ends up with your face. That
We
was
have
the
a
key.
safe word.
Yeah, you got to have a safe word or a secret tell, something.
It's
Take the
pineapple
time.
in the butt.
Well, now you got to come up with a new one because now everyone knows it.
That's only for Hitler.
Yeah. Thank you. So,
Yeah,
On
this looks
the
good. I mean,
there.
surprised that it was going to be a comedy. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be fan-fucking-tastic. I don't know about you guys.
As long as they let him go full Cage,
Oh,
I'm
dude.
down for it.
I wonder how much he'll be in it, though. Like honestly,
18 seconds.
I don't think that's.
He's gonna be in like 7 to 10 minutes of pure flashback where he like lays on the ground and there's like guns. Oh wait, no, it's Jared Leto's Joker.
Wow.
Mhm.
But I'm glad to see Nicolas Cage is finally getting back into serious roles and not having to. Maybe he's finally got his tax bills paid off where he doesn't have to constantly just take whatever movies that's thrown at him now. So
I think he's learning
I mean,
to laugh about it.
Yeah, he didn't have
Yeah,
to move to another island like Wesley Snipes, so he's doing pretty good.
Dude,
He's
hey,
not
it just
playing-
goes to show you
he
kids
never
pay your
should-
taxes, right?
He should
not
never
playing
stop
a
making
pilot
National
in
Treasure
a-
movies.
in a Rapture movie.
Apparently, if you watch the National Treasure show on Disney Plus, there's a tease that they're working on National Treasure 3.
Good. I want to see all the way to National Treasure 11, where there's a treasure on the moon, and that's what they have to get to.
Ooh, Hollow
Yeah,
Moon
it-
theory.
Did
Mhm.
you guys see The Weatherman?
I
Yes.
have, yes.
Oh, thanks for
I'm
okay.
Were
I'm
you
glad
going
that
somewhere
went
with that, or
I'm glad that went
No,
somewhere.
no, that was the full thing. It was just that question.
I'm glad that went somewhere, Hartman.
I mean, it's not
He
really
hasn't
what
either.
we're talking about. Just asking if anybody saw it.
Have you guys heard that that song when you play it backward? It says Paul's dead. That was a hoax, right?
No, it wasn't. He's dead.
but Marvel cancels Hulk comics after 14 issues. Donny Cates has withdrawn from his major Marvel Comics projects of late, with Al Ewing and then Torrin Grunberg stepping up to write Thor, and Ryan Otley taking over the writing of Hulk as well as drawing the book. But Ryan has also talked about how he doesn't want to work on long runs anymore. His previous stated, after Hulk, I'll be going back to creator-owned at Image Comics for a while, maybe Marvel again someday. But next up for me is an independent book where I share ownership with the writer, 50% pay, in a project I'm absolutely excited to do. It's a win-win-win. I can't pass it up, but don't expect too long a run, whatever it is. Yeah, to be honest, I doubt I'll ever draw a long run more than 20 issues anymore. I did an extremely long run on Invincible. That was something very rare these days. I did my time, so now I want to do more shorter type runs, like 20 issues on ASM, 13 issues on Hulk, etc.
So that goes back what I was saying before was when you were saying hopefully he gets with Donny Cates. Donny Cates is going back to doing his own shit.
Well,
So-
Donny Cates has kind of went off the deep end too and had a lot of controversies and a lot of mental health issues as of late too. That's kind of why he stepped away from a lot of his projects.
I mean, man, that's got to be a lot of fucking work, man. Writing and drawing for Marvel on these fucking timelines and shit.
Well,
Dude.
especially with like how complex, like stepping in on for Cates on Hulk and Thor, with how complex like Donny Cates has been going with this stuff and their big callback and all that. It
Yeah.
explains why we haven't gotten that big payoff of like the Thanos situation at the beginning of Thor and kind of Hulk just falling off the face of the earth. It kind of explains a lot hearing
But I
that he left those books.
Ryan Otley's kind of saying the same thing as Capullo. Like nobody wants to do these long. They don't want to be committed forever anymore. They want to just kind of do stuff here and there, like little things. I wonder what's going on behind the scenes that's truly making these writers and artists feel this way.
I think in the comic book industry, there's a lot of, it almost feels like there's a lot of like maybe job openings where people aren't getting work, or they're being approached with too much and they're taking on too much and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to do shorter stuff so they can bounce around and do more things. Because if you're not obligated to a 75, 80 run issue book, you can do 5-6 issues of this book and then take on 5-6 issues with another book and then 5-6 issues with another book. And like, you can kind of spread your work out across multiple characters and multiple platforms and probably get more royalties than just committing yourself to, however many issues of Invincible he did, or, things like that. Because his run on ASM wasn't very long, 20 issues, he's saying. So it doesn't even feel like it was 20 issues to me, but
it's because he started out doing the art for it. And I don't remember it being 20 issues either. It seems like it was like closer to like 10.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
And so, but I just maybe it keeps it fresh, and you just do enough to keep it exciting. Because it's like any job, we all can attest to that. It being it starts to suck after a while.
Marvel wants him to do enough to sell books.
Yeah, they probably, he doesn't want it to get stale. He doesn't want to be criticized on shows like ours. But not only that, this is good for the industry because you've got to have new stories. You got to have new characters. These guys are coming up and they're wanting to create something new for themselves and not just be working under a big label, big banner.
The one problem I'll have is if they reboot again, you got to stop doing that. Just because an artist or a writer leaves, you don't have to reboot the whole damn numbering just to flow with that. I mean,
that's a money-making thing, though.
Well, that's a money-making thing, but people are smart enough to know that if you have a new writing team, you have a new story arc. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard for people.
Yeah, but when you go to a comic book shop, people have it ingrained in their mind. If they're not like in this community and savvy and looking up, the number one stands out. So people are more likely to buy the book off the shelf if it's a number one versus if it's a number 75 with a new creative team.
Yeah, but that's a new thing, right? Since like the early 2000s when they started doing it.
Yeah, that's how we got into this.
Before that, I mean, the story arcs came in and left, and maybe have come back again later on, and no one batted an eye. And now you got to have all these number ones coming out every 2-3 years. I personally hate it because as a collector, oh my God, I got to get another one, and it's going to have 75 covers.
Yeah.
And then now you got to deal with store variants. All these stores that are doing their variants. It's a crazy market when it comes to that now. For a collector.
I just stick to. I don't care if it's store. I don't care if it's Marvel, whoever's doing. But if I like the cover, I'm going to get it. I don't care what it is. I'm not ever going to try to get all.
Well, that's what you should do.
That's just too much craziness. And I know that it's okay. There's 75 books. Eventually, one of these is going to hit. Which one? So you got to buy them all just in case, so you have that one. But fuck that shit. Buy what you like. If you don't like it, don't fucking buy it.
Yeah. You should always buy what you. I mean, and if you're going to buy something else, like say it is something with 75 covers, you're going to pick the artist that's probably either the hottest artist or, like you said, it's going to have the art that you like. So maybe it's the McFarlane cover or the Capullo cover or the Hughes or whatever cover.
I'm sure, like anything, though, it's like stopping you from getting stale too. Like, well, you got to set in your mind, I'm only drawing 6 issues of this. character, and then I can move on. So it's kind of got to stop your work from getting stale.
And if you're only doing 6 issues, let's give it the best bang for its buck.
Right.
Mhm.
So I mean, I get it, but it just seems like everybody's like publicly like going in that direction. So it is what it is.
Well,
'Cause
I mean, we do have a lot more artists and writers nowadays than we did in prior eras, right? So
Yeah, you still kind of have those legend. Even now, you still have those kind of, like you're saying, Sticks. You have those legendary artists of our time, like Otley, Capullo, McFarlane, still out there doing it.
there's always those ones that rise to the top, and people always follow them. And there's always some in the middle that people like. Maybe they don't get up to that height, but
And then
you know what you're going to like and who's the best, right?
Like you can
That never changes.
you could probably name like the big time writers on one hand in the game right now. So I kind of agree with you.
Tier list coming.
Your writers are definitely outnumbered by the number of artists that are out there. So
And I would hope like shows like ours, and if we did a tier list, could bring like those names more to the front, because a lot of these people who are specking on books, they don't know the writers. They might probably know the artists. They know the characters. That's not something they're specking on as the writing. They're specking on the appearance or maybe the art.
let's see, who would you name a legendary writer right now? Scott Snyder, probably.
Yep.
James Tynion the fourth.
Like I love Joshua Williamson's writing.
Joshua Williamson. Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if I'd put Williamson in legendary, but I think he's getting up there.
He's right on that cusp of it.
Yeah.
Like he was real hot, but he's a great writer. So
Ram, I really am enjoying the stuff Ram V's been doing. I really liked Zeb Wells.
Right. So guys like Ram,
Tom King.
I mean, they're hot now. We'll see how they do later on when they go on to and do some other things, right? I mean, I don't know how much he's actually done. I'm not a Ram follower, so.
Well, I mean, Ram's killing. I think he's writing detective right now.
I've heard nothing but good
Carnage.
things. I've heard nothing but good things, but
or Venom.
So. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's next here, guys?
I guess it also too allows writers to push out more stuff too, and then they can go, okay, well, we're gonna throw it to this artist, and we're gonna throw these issues to this one. So, as a writer, you can pump out more stuff and get yourself in a better position if you have burnout or need to take a break or whatever later on down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Chip Zdarsky, Ewing,
yep.
Brubaker,
and Ram V. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good writers out there. I see no one screaming at putting Donny Cates in the chat. I don't know.
I like Donny Cates a lot. I really like his dedication to the craft and the history of comics and how deep and the deep cuts he's willing to go to and how far and obscure things he's willing to pull out and work in to make them connect. And
right.
I think Cates is a great writer. I just think he loses steam and then falls off when he tries to do events.
Do you think it's losing steam, or do you think he takes on too much and it becomes so intertwined and he's doing so many different things it's hard to stick the landing?
You probably anticipate something that he's going to do next so much that he just kind of loses it.
Because like when
there could be a couple things there. Like
when he was writing Reactor for Vault Comics, there was like a 6-issue miniseries. It was fucking badass. Like so much so, like I had never heard of him, and like I had picked it up just so that we could do a comic review on Absolute Geek. And I picked up Reactor #1 for Vault, and I was like, holy shit, this motherfucker's badass, and then all of a sudden, like, you saw him at Image. And I was like, oh, great, I get to read more Donny Cates, You started reading Redneck, you know what I mean? and then you're like, oh shit, he's going to be over here at Marvel. You're like, hey, that's how it was for me with Donny Cates, because when I was first reading his stuff, it was great. But yeah, maybe this is what it is. He's a little too ambitious.
Well, maybe a question to ask Cates would be, you were able to do this over here when you came to Marvel. How much towards the end were they kind of pushing you to finish it off, and you had to rush it? Maybe there's a little bit there of him and them pushing to get the stuff done.
But
Because they knew he was going to move on to something else.
We give Donny Cates, but remember the ending of Batman with Scott Snyder. Matt, you remember we were like, the fuck?
Yeah.
But what the fuck did you just do, Scott Snyder? Like really, I was like, the last few issues, like I was like, and then he didn't even write the final issue.
Yeah, he left. Like, I think he left the book with like 3 issues to go, and those 3 issues were all guest writers.
But
I
even
think
like
he left right after the Mr. Bloom stuff, right?
Right around Mr. Bloom is when you were just, even Mr. Bloom, you were like, what's going on?
Because he felt very much like a Joker knockoff.
It kind of like, is he starting to phone it in? Like, that's the, like, because you were like reading, like, you read these great arcs that he had written. And then you're like, what's he doing? Like, once he got to Mr. Bloom, you're like, what is he doing? Like, for real? Like, is he having someone else write this for him? He's just putting his name on it? Like, I don't know. So,
yeah.
But moving on here. Wrestler turned actor Dave Bautista is deadly serious about his transition from hulking fighter to Hollywood superstar. And he's not thrilled about his comparison to Dwayne Johnson, or as most of him know him as The Rock. In an interview with GQ, the massive brute of a man revealed his acting inspirations are far more than thespian than action hero aspirations. I never wanted to be the next Rock. I just want to be a good fucking actor, the former wrestler said, before adding a respected actor.
Throwing that shade on The Rock.
Props to him.
Well, then he came out and said that he's glad he's not playing Drax anymore because of the makeup times and all that. And he doesn't want to be typecast in the superhero role. He wants to be, he said, take on serious roles. And then he goes out and does something like Knives Out, Glass Onion, and now he's like throwing his weight behind M. Night Shyamalan, and he's doing an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Yeah, Stuber.
He's putting his work in.
Stuber.
Yeah, is he going to be in what?
Like he's always going to be playing those tough
I
guys.
think he's a good actor, though. I don't think he like when I think of The Rock, I just think of the same shit. Like it's all the same shit.
I don't think he's a very good actor. I think he did good as Drax.
I think he's putting his work in.
But I don't think he's a lead role guy.
I think he did good in Army of the Dead.
He's not someone that's going to get a boatload of commentary, right?
I think he'll get that.
So I think like Drax fit him good because he didn't have to talk a lot, and he's still learning for the acting. So that worked for him. So if you find a director that can work him into stuff that he's good with, he'll be fine.
I agree with Joe. He sniffs his own farts too much.
Yeah.
He's not a lead role guy.
The M. Night Shyamalan movie sticks is called Knock at the Cabin.
Okay. Going back to horror. All right, good.
So they show the premises is like while vacationing, these two dads and their little girl are approached by a bunch of like doomsday preppers that say that they're in order to
there's interviews soon, Marvel Man,
avoid the apocalypse, they have to make an unbearable choice where I think it's gonna turn out to where they have to choose who lives and who dies in this
like
room.
A Sophie's Choice thing.
Yeah, so it's gonna be
Sophie's
like
Choice. Sophie's Choice.
Choice.
Good options. This is the opposite of that. It's a lose-lose.
I hope what it does is I hope it's an F, Marry, Kill.
I hope it's something like, do you put pineapples on your pizza? And then they say yes, and then he doesn't kill him. M. Night Shyamalan twist. You know how he does that thing.
Shyamalan dong.
The last Shyamalan movie was Old. which was the dumbest movie I've seen in a long time. And every time I see a Shyamalan movie, I'm like, that's the dumbest movie I think I've ever seen in a long time.
Every time I see one, I'm like, that person's a dead person.
Old is the one where they're at the beach, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
In the
I'll do it.
balloons.
I'll do it. I'll be the undercard.
See, BK was in that chat too. He knows about the Whatnot drama and the dude,
Dude,
the
I remember
Tiger King of Whatnot.
like, there's dudes that are going to do a boxing match.
Ultimately, it ended with that Nick GQ dude being like, "I want to fight you. Meet me in the street and fight you." And then the other dude was like, "I'll fight you for like $5,000 on the line or $15,000 or something like that." And then they're talking about how they want to do it boxing and get it commissioned, or he wants Whatnot to sponsor it and to put on the fight. And
So I remember when Facebook Live was a big thing, selling on Facebook Live, there was a dude that was on there, Zachary Russell. He ended up turning out to be like the biggest scammer in like comic books. I'm surprised we never really talked about it. He ended a huge scammer. You remember that guy, Matt?
mm-hmm.
He ended up being a huge scammer, but he did that with some dude. He was like, he wanted to do a sanctioned fight for charity.
$500,000 brawl for
He was doing videos of him fucking running with his like his army gear on, fucking sweating.
Like he's Rocky or something.
Yeah, it was fucking stupid.
Why did he start so high? 500,000? Come on, man.
Hey, if you guys want real violence, then we can set up a charity dodgeball match. And we'll play with volleyballs.
Harmon, it's like a job.
Sir John says Batista is what my nephew thinks he is.
you never ask for the lowest money. You always ask for as much as you can.
Well, it's like
negotiate.
you got $500,000 to throw down. First off, if you're going to start throwing that out there, let's see your account numbers.
Well, he did brag about making $1 million last year on Whatnot. So,
Joe says I just kept asking them to take their shirts off during the argument.
I joined the argument and left. I joined the chat and I'm like, fuck this. This is too much. I can't even understand.
Dude, it was like a beautiful car crash. I couldn't look away when I was watching it.
I need to start going back onto Whatnot, dude. Like I abandoned Whatnot a long time ago, and I don't even.
I kept going. Who's got the Jamaican accent?
It's a lot of people now not selling anything, but just oddly watching like Disney Plus or like Avengers Endgame in the background.
So it's starting like a cheaper only fan
service.
Kind of. It's just like, they're like, it looks like they're gonna have a sale, but then you just see like part of a TV in the background that has Avengers on it or something, and they just never actually sell anything.
Bidder gets the next show choice.
So it's just a bunch of comic book flippers trying to. What was that? It's just a bunch of comic book flippers sitting around in their basements with the TV on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatnot. It was so promising in the beginning, and I just don't. It just turned into
a giant shit show now. Like
yeah.
It's just.
So whatever happened to the eBay live sales?
They're coming.
They've started up.
They're probably watching Whatnot and waiting for them to do all the wrong things. So
we're not going to do that, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Fuck it. We're not doing it live.
What's up?
We're scrapping eBay live. Forget it.
Scrapping it.
Yeah, they're probably like, let's wait and see what happens on Whatnot. We'll make changes. Because Whatnot.
There's so many of those types of apps now, right? So after Whatnot, they got Pop It.
eBay has that money back guarantee. So I wonder how that's going to be thrown into it. Like.
Hopefully soon.
I had a old coffee grinder that I sold like a couple years ago. This dude got it, opened it up, broke it when he was opening it up, and then said it was broke, sent it back, got his money back. And I look at his store and he sells parts inside coffee grinders. Like, so this dude opened it up, and I'm assuming he took the part out he needed and then sent it back. So eBay's got that money back guarantee crap.
I remember 2006 to like 2010, like eBay was fucking phenomenal. It was awesome. You really, truly got great deals all the time on eBay.
Now they just make all you buyers happy, no matter what.
I remember like there was
Someone sounds
I don't know
bitter.
how early you guys used to go
I'm
on
very
eBay, but I remember they had like an oddity section to eBay.
Yeah.
I remember there was a dude that was selling ghosts in a jar.
Well, now if you buy
As
those,
opposed-
that's no money back. Like that's
As
how you-
opposed to farts in a jar.
Yeah, it was ghosts. He had this. I remember he had this whole elaborate story that he was walking through the
Same
woods
thing.
and he came across this dilapidated old cabin, and he went in there and there was a ghost. He got it into the jar and he was selling it.
put a video of, get me out this jar, man. Like just have some voiceover, like a.
He was like,
Little voice
once you
chipping
get it, you open it at your own risk and all this other shit. It was great. There was people just so dumb shit. It was awesome.
Yeah, you
It's
can
crazy.
Like I remember going, if I was thinking about buying something, fuck it, I'm gonna go to eBay first. And now I'm like,
selling stuff
fuck.
on eBay. You're selling used
now I'm
printers.
like, what the fuck is my eBay password?
Return printers. My dude was selling. He just he kept bitching about them kicking him off this platform, and then I got a printer I got 3 printers one weekend. All 3 of them, none of them worked. I'm like, dude, you gotta sell working stuff, man. Is this why they kicked you off eBay? Oh man.
Hey
Yeah.
Sam, is our guest fashionably late?
I don't know. I
You
don't know.
still
really.
got 1 minute.
You get catfished.
Oh shit, that's right, 6:00. I don't know what I was thinking. All right, let's keep going then.
Dana White training his wife up for his new slapping fight. Instead of UFC, he's gonna do slap fights now. You've heard me say for years there's never an excuse for a guy to put his hands on a woman. Now here I am on
donate
TMZ.
to that, BK. I'll be the first person to donate.
Now here I am on TMZ talking about it. White told the website, Dana and I have been married, or Dana and I have been married for almost 30 years. Anna White said in a statement to TMZ, to say this is out of character for him is an understatement. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Unfortunately, we were both drinking too much on New Year's Eve and things got out of control on both sides. We've talked this through as a family and apologized to each other. I just hope that people will respect our privacy for the sake of our kids. When you watch the video, she slaps him first, and he doesn't even haul back and jaw jack her. He just taps her across the face. That's still
Did
not
you get out the
excuse
baby
to,
powder first?
No, but I mean, it's still not an excuse to put your hands on a woman. But
No, I know.
a lot of people look at it like if she wants to step to you like a man and hit you first, then
And you make money off of men slapping other men, so
right.
it's only instinct, I guess. But
Sir John says Dana White needs to practice. He more fly squashed her.
they need a rematch. They need to take it to the octagon if they want to be real about it.
Yeah,
he didn't
training her for the slap competition.
Yeah, power slap. She's gonna be the first. She's training for the female division in power slap.
He's Sean Connery reader.
Yeah, I don't
know.
Dude, I remember when UFC used to be so badass.
They need a red team versus blue team. Dana and his wife, the coach on the other team.
Oh,
yeah, like an ultimate fighter for slapping. But
yeah, when that originally came out with Dan Severn and Royce Gracie and all those guys, that was when it was the best.
Like I used to go all the time to him because I used to be rich. No, I'm just joking. But it was like,
what happened,
dude? I met
his wife spent the last little bit of their fortune on those curtains. It was just all downhill from there.
These will be great.
Like I remember, it would be like me and my dad, my brother-in-law. We'd all go and it was. I think it might have been Chuck Liddell. My dad goes down, and I didn't want to get up from my seat because I'd been drinking too much, and I always got the fight cards. It had all the fighters in it. And I said, "Hey," my dad was on the end of the row, and I was like, "Hey, it's Chuck Liddell. Go get the autograph in my fight card for me." So he's like, "All right." I gave him, the Sharpie with that there, and he was like. He walked out of Chuck Liddell and says, "Hey, can you get this signed for my son?" And Chuck Liddell's like, "Hey, where's the little guy at?" And he says, "That guy right there." And I was like, "Ah, hey, all fucking wasted that shit."
He's got that disorder where he looks like a grown man.
But
He's an 8-year-old.
he just made. I was like, why is Chuck Liddell making that weird face? And then that's when my dad came back and that's what he told me.
It was probably way worse. You were probably way worse than you imagined in your head too. Like,
All right.
real sloppy.
I remember we went one time to the fights. It was same thing. It was like me and my brother and my dad. We went with the owner of the company that I worked with, and like the vice president, dude, and fucking. I'm sitting there and like it was one of the ones that we would just fly out for the fight, watch the fight, and then we just fly back home, and like
Damn,
so
you really had money. Talk about being rich.
we were drinking. We'd get on like a 7 a.m. flight, so we'd be at the airport drinking fucking like shots and stuff and beers, and then we would we got on the plane, had a couple drinks, we'd get there and sit around and drink, and by the time the fight got around, like we were sitting there, and my dad's like, I remember he put like $400 on like Rich Franklin. He got his ass whooped by Anderson Silva. That's when he fucking put his nose over here. So we get to the fight, we're sitting there, and I'm drinking a drink, and my owner of my company comes over and he goes, "Hey, your dad's about to get arrested. You fucking better go find him." And I was like, "All right, let's go get him." I look, and the owner's gone. He's like hiding. I'm like, shit. So I walk out, and my dad is in the hallway of the Mandalay Bay at the front doors, laying down, sleeping, and everyone's having to step over him. And the fucking the sheriffs are like poking him with their nightsticks, trying to wake him up. And he's fucking smacking him awake. Get the fuck away from me. And they're like, "Dude, if you don't fucking get up, we're gonna take you to jail." So he goes, "All right, fuck it." And he sits up and he leans against the wall and he goes back to sleep.
We've all been there.
And they're like, "That's not what we mean." So I run up and I go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right." And they're like, "If you can't get him out of here back to your hotel room, he's going to jail." So I called my mom. I was like, "Hey, I ain't missing this fucking fight. You need to come get him." And fucking, so him and my wife, her and my wife, my mom and my wife come over and they grab him, and fucking they like there's this married couple walking by, and he runs over there and he grabs the corsage off the fucking off the wife and fucking throws it. And fucking he's tripping people on the escalators and shit.
Your dad, that's a problem child.
Your dad's a fucking menace. That's what
yeah,
it
those
is.
guys that like punches you for no reason at a campfire.
It was fucking awesome though. And I just went back to the fight.
Cliff will be on at 7.
What the fuck?
So we can move on with the rest of the slides.
All right.
Your thing, boss.
All right, let's get into worst and best covers of the week.
Yeah, Marvel Man. He was a ton of fun to go party with.
Worst and best covers of the week. Kicking us off this week. Earth Divers number 4. Lavette cover. That cover just looks like Shaggy from it looks like a trans Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
And a snake.
Yes.
And a snake, yes.
Snakey
The
doo.
snake looks better than the actual character.
I don't like it.
It does look
You got
really.
Yes.
It's like really sketchy.
Vector.
You know what I
That's
mean?
what I think of.
She's like shaded like
Looks like
3 or 4 different
I
times.
like the goatee.
Yeah, she's got a goatee.
Those aren't tribal tattoos.
No. I think it's
No.
it's a
She's like
solid
her
goatee.
face is one color, her body's another color, her hands are a different color.
No way. I don't believe it.
Wow.
Okay. Well,
It's not a
I don't believe it's the hair. I don't believe it's hair.
okay.
Well, that head's definitely not attached to that neck.
You're not my dad. I don't believe you.
Velma Shaggy hybrid. There you go, Tyson.
Where are my glasses?
Well,
Joe's Doolin says yes, they are tribal tattoos. I don't know what tribal tattoos look like
yeah.
that. She looks like she's got a little bit of Thanos going on there.
That ain't hair.
Yeah, no.
Like long lines.
Moving on, we got Rob Liefeld, Amjing Rob Liefeld, X-Force 36.
where every character looks like Rob Liefeld.
It's all
Yep.
shiny.
That's a bad man to homage himself.
Yes, he's like, they're like, hey, Rob, I'm going to homage myself, motherfuckers.
Why don't you block all the feet in the picture?
He
Oh,
did
he
that on
did.
purpose. He's tired
Stop
of getting harangued by guys like us.
Liefeld after Liefeld.
Yeah.
I felt the legs only.
By now, the editor's got to be like, we got to crop those shit out. It's like they don't.
Well, I mean, Omega Red looks like he's trying to push one out big time. He just looks like he ate a whole bunch of Taco Bell.
He's got that. He's
Then you got
hulking.
back here doing Blue Steel. And who knows what Domino's doing. Domino's body just looks like like her waist looks super long to me.
It's unhealthy.
She's wearing like
She's
one of
got a
those
mud baby.
corsages or whatever those things that you tighten up.
Corset.
Corset.
She is struggling. Domino is struggling to stand up straight.
She must have been partying with us in Vegas.
To get scoliosis.
For me, the weird thing about Liefeld is that none of his characters have an upper lip.
None of them. Except, well, I mean, Domino does, and so does the chick back here. But yeah, none of his male faces ever have an upper
It's
lip.
the other one you're like, yes.
Their teeth are exposed, and there's no upper lip.
I can't even do it. Yes, when I was going through these and I was like, did he just fucking, and I even said to the man, I was like, did he just homage himself? Like the balls on this guy.
Big old fucking brass balls on this guy.
After me.
Yeah.
I will say it's better than some unknown doing a crappy job of homaging him, I guess. I mean, he can just do his own crappy job.
We had that
your
a
own
couple
crappy
weeks
job
ago.
of homaging your already crappy job.
I can do that myself. Thank you.
We don't want somebody to do a crappy job of your homage, so let's just be you, Rob.
Just let Rob do it.
So if you homage yourself, that's basically recycling old ideas, right?
I
Yeah,
mean,
pretty
it is
much.
part of Hollywood.
Homage is sexual.
What?
What was
What?
that?
What about being sexual?
Your homage is sexual. You homage yourself.
Okay.
It's a hard word to say. It's almost like homosexual, but it's
No, we get it.
We get it, yeah.
And that's
Oh
one
my
spaghetti
God,
noodle that
massage.
didn't stick to the wall.
Keep boiling the spaghetti.
Homage
Yeah.
sexual.
Next, we got Scarlet Witch #1 variant. The Witch is back. Adam Hughes classic cover.
Adam Houston, like you
What, you guys don't like this?
I like.
What?
She's
You guys don't like the Jenny McCarthy look?
Yeah,
She looks like Jenny McCarthy from the 90s.
I like
Mike
everything.
is the
But-
best.
from basketball.
Yeah.
Adam Hughes does the same face in a lot of his stuff.
Well, maybe he's got a thing for Jenny McCarthy.
That's a prize.
And like, what's this
Don't we
hair
all?
right here? It looks like
Mine.
someone spilled coffee on her shirt or something.
She looks like she's in that. What's that
It's
show?
drool.
It's armpit hair, clearly.
Yeah, the
Well,
shape
mouth has
of
been
like
open
a
so wide, it's drool.
armpit hair in the shape of like a pumpkin bomb.
She's magically keeping you from vaccines.
Yeah.
Well,
But I mean, part of me is like, it's Adam Hughes, man. Like it's not like he did a horrible job on it. Like it's
No, I like everything. Like I said, I like everything on this cover, but the face.
Oh yeah.
Sir Johnson, that mouth could crack coconuts.
it just reminds me of that part where Jenny McCarthy's like, where she sucked the chrome off the hitch or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a Jenny McCarthy. No.
And that hand looks a little like the finger placement on the hand's a little wonky. Like,
She
why
looks
is
like
this
she's yelling at
one
somebody
finger
that's
like
been
massive
back.
compared to the rest of her?
She was
Yeah.
one reason why I watched The Masked Singer.
yeah. Hey, good point. Great
According to
point.
Marco, nobody watches that show. So I guess we know at least one now, huh?
I
It was very popular when it first came out. but it's kind of
I'd be like Googling and trying to figure out who did it. Like I found myself too involved with it.
yeah. You had to step away. You're getting too obsessed.
I spent too much time Googling trying to figure out. Like I'd go online and read what everybody else wrote, like who they thought it was, and then I would take them and like dwindle them down, and then I just put way too much fucking work into the Masked Singer.
He had one of those yarn boards behind him, with the conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
That could be him.
Yeah.
And then I was always wrong.
Connecting the dots. They give you a lot of red herrings in that show.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is one of those covers that walks the thin line between being best and worst, but it's just, I feel like he's just recycled this facial expression a lot, and the hand, it just is like Adam Hughes is not his greatest work.
Well, like what we do with what everybody says about J. Scott Campbell, why change something if it works?
I guess that's why J. Scott Campbell draws cat faces constantly.
Dude, I still love his art, man. I like him so. Oh, I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
Well, I'm gonna be the contrary opinion. I like this. I like this cover.
I still love that other cover he did. That was it that incentive cover that he did for the the Kickstarter with the brick wall, and she's got the wet shirt and everything.
Adam Hughes.
Yeah,
Adam Hughes one.
Yeah.
Soda Pop or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah, where but see, the girl in that cover is almost making the same facial expression.
But she looks like Jennifer Lawrence instead of Jenny McCarthy.
He goes with the gens. Oh, yes. I agree with Chad.
Pop kill, yeah. I mean, it's
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah.
Same facial expression. But all right, now we get into our best covers of the week. Secret Invasion number 3. The Loeb, Marvel Anima Loeb cover. Anything with a skull on it is just usually dope, and now you have a scroll skull.
What's with all the sections?
So dope.
I guess if you're a shapeshifter, you have a lot of bones in your skull.
I was going to say Dana White smacked him, but
it looks like there's little lumps or tissue.
Well, I was thinking like maybe it's cartilage, and so they can unhinge and change to meet and form into the person's correct bone structure that they're turning into.
Kind of like what Sam said.
Yeah, exactly what Sam said.
I mean, if
Good job, Sam.
I don't know what color cartilage is.
It's white.
The skull ear is a miss.
Looks like a skull that's been broken into like 60 pieces.
Yeah.
And put back together.
I think it's neat.
Enough people commented on Jayla's like this on that pop because she may have a case. Uh-oh. Better watch out, AH.
Next, we got Night of Han's Nightmare Blog 11. Can't see who did the cover because who did this cover, Kyle?
Here, I'll bring it up real quick.
Just because of my
excuses.
Cutting it off.
It's the Kudrunski cover.
Simon Kudransky.
You know why I like this cover a lot? Matt might know why I actually picked this cover. If anybody will know, I'm sure it's Matt.
Pink eye?
No.
Simon Kudrow.
I picked it because there's that badass like the Walking Dead cover. And it was just so cool with the eyeball, and when I saw this, it totally reminded me of that Walking Dead cover. And anything time when anybody does a close eyeball where you get to see the reflection of who's, I love that concept, and I think it's fucking cool. And I think it's just something that I think it just kills, and I love it.
Yeah, it's a sick cover.
It's almost as good as the Walking Dead cover.
Me love the baby.
And then we've got the Joker, the man who stopped laughing, number 4, the Lee. Is it the Lee?
Bermejo.
Yeah, I can't see the. I just see the Lee.
Someone in the background doesn't want to take a bath.
Yeah. So
Is that
that's
your
a sick
daughter?
cover
Matt?
with like the
That's really
marionette of Red Hood.
Yeah, that's very
Dude,
good.
I mean, the last few Joker covers have just been fucking sick. Which always goes to show. I've had this. I've brought this point up a bunch of times. Is I think the Joker is like a muse for people. Like something about the Joker where people can just create so well with him. Like it, I just, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to find horrible Joker stuff except for him being pregnant and throwing up a kid. Other than that, like it seems to be like a muse. You know what I mean? Like people just, for some reason, it just shit just turns out awesome when it comes.
Turns
to
on the
Joker.
creative juices. Sure.
Yeah,
It's because you never know what he's going to do, right?
He's a
and
gangster.
it just people just can just, I don't know, they can just like tune into him and like create this badass shit when it comes to the Joker. Like, you know, like the last few covers have just been fire, and you know, it's just, I don't know, like it inspires people like overly. I think like that's who Donnie Cates needs to write, is like a badass Joker story.
I like how he's kind of an amalgam. This particular design is kind of an amalgam of the Vincent Price and the Heath Ledger Jokers. So you have kind of the Vincent Price look with the scars on the face, like Heath Ledger or even Jack Nicholson kind of mixed in there too. That's a really cool design.
I love it.
And then we have the Avengers, Earth Mightiest Heroes 64 art germ cover. Art germ doesn't disappoint, man. Always
Never.
beautiful covers.
Never.
Is this Phoenix?
Yes, it's the original Phoenix. Yes.
We need to get him back on the show.
AI. That guy
Is-
hates that shit.
Is this the 10,000 BC one or?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We need to get back on and tell him, how the fuck do you always come up with fire covers? How the hell do you do it?
I use a lot of fire.
I like fire.
I paint it and then I light it.
So, yeah, Art Germ never. I mean, can anybody in the chat or anybody on the panel think of a disappointing Art Germ cover?
No.
Nothing really comes to mind.
Really?
Like,
There's always a couple like Peach Momoko that don't hit the mark, but they're always usually pretty good.
like I can't think of one that says, "Damn it, Art Germ, why did you do that?"
Yeah, no.
But-
Usually all of Art Germ's covers are absolute fire.
Like I'm looking at a bunch of his right now, and they're just, it's just badass.
There is-
They're-
I think there was a Ghost Spider one where he did the Green Goblin. That was, it was kind of not as great as some of the other ones, but it was still good enough to be one that I got.
Yeah, Cesar Romero. Sorry, Joe. You're right.
Oh yeah, you said Vincent Price.
I said Vincent Price. This is
Yeah.
Cesar Romero. Yeah, you're right.
I agree. I agree. I kind of agree with BK. But I think he does so many badass covers, it's hard to have an iconic cover. But
because they're all the same. They're all the same equality, right?
like I'm looking through it, I'm trying to find one that kind of, some of his Batgirls were, Cowboy Bebop was, some of his, let's see. Art Germ, we'll go with we'll start with Cowboy Bebop.
We could save this one for a tier list.
Let's see. I'll share my screen real quick.
Or not?
We could do that. I mean, we're not allowed to do tier lists.
We're not.
I'm just joking. We can do whatever the fuck we want. Just fucking around. Let me add this to the stream. So here's Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're pretty good. What it seems to be with the Cowboy Bebop is he didn't make him as vibrant as he makes his other drawings and his other covers. You know what I mean?
Reminds me of
You said
those
Batgirl?
coyote shirts at the Harley Davidson things.
I remember.
Fantasy.
She was talking about with the Batgirl.
He did the Korean cover for Street
Like
Fighter.
I so wish Albuquerque would have did this cover. God. Everyone had to get all fucking up in arms over it. Like, that's fucking great. But it is what it is. That's Matt bailed. Bloodstone #1. Let's look at that one. Where oops, let me reshare it.
That's such a great brick wall background, by the way.
What cover did it? Is it not showing up?
No, I did.
I'm in the process of building a new computer so that I could actually share shit. Sorry about that, guys.
I need more RAM.
So try to. That's
You need a camera.
That's why I'm building a new computer.
His camera.
He has a
was fine.
camera. He just chooses not to fucking use it.
Yeah.
But all right, well, we'll just
I do too much over here.
just not a fan of art journal. I can kind of see that too. I can see that. I can see that as well. But all right, let me remove this.
Art room covers with dudes.
Yeah, I just he's just awesome. I just love his work.
And next we got big news in anime with the strongest Avenger, Sam.
Blaming Sam, I'm gonna have to throw a little shade at you, and I had to spend a bunch of money on fucking Chainsaw Man mangas because now I'm so hooked, and I don't know when we're gonna get season 2. I bought 1 through 11, and I'm waiting for Amazon to deliver those. And I've already reread volumes 1 through 3.
Yep.
So now I'm waiting for 4 to 11 to come so that I could keep reading it.
Yeah,
But
Chainsaw Man is a
phenomenal.
devastatingly awesome series. So I'm happy for you. I bought volumes 1 through 11. Part 2 has started, and there's volume 12 out now. It's just an amazing series. I'm glad that you got into the anime. You're going to be ahead of the game story-wise when the series progresses finally at last. But season 2 is looking like it's going to come out. If it comes out this year, it'll be at the very end of the year, but it'll probably more likely be 2024.
See, that's why I'm buying the mangas, because like I'm not wanting to wait 2 years to fucking see what's going on.
Yeah.
No, sir.
So this series right here is Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. This is a newer manga series that has picked up a lot of steam lately, and Shogakukan announced on Friday that it is getting an anime, and it will stream on Hulu in the U.S., which means that it is a Disney acquisition. So everywhere else in the world is going to be on Disney Plus. Viz Media, this is one you can buy volumes from Viz Media. It's not a Shueisha publication, so it's not part of the Shonen Jump lineup. So this is one you would be buying volume by volume. But it is highly regarded, so it's something that people can like.
So my son told me about a new anime to try out. It's called let me see. I'm looking at my Crunchyroll right now. It's called
Well, speaking of new animes, we can go to the next slide here.
Oh,
and this
it's called Revenger.
Tokyo Revengers.
Is that what it's called?
Tokyo Revengers, yeah.
Oh, it just says Revenger. It's just called Revenger.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that. Tokyo Revengers.
So season 1, episode 1 just came out. It says
Yeah, it's gonna be big.
Master, what's that?
I've seen a lot
It says
of.
it's Master Assassin Yu Yen looks into a series of assassinations made on the Grand Samurai Clan, the Sasamua. He encountered Kururo Razio, remember the survivor of one of the attacks. Together, they discover the true nature of these murders is bigger than overstolen resources. As they get close to the truth, they will come out alive to extract revenge.
All
The
right, well,
publisher
there you go.
is Shakachiku.
Shaka Khan.
I don't know what you're trying to say. But this was one I wanted to bring up because it was one that made a lot of your lists of best animes ever, top 5, and which is Trigun. Trigun is being revived in a new series called Trigun Stampede, which starts this weekend. You can actually pick it up right now. You can watch it on Crunchyroll right now.
Dude, I used to be late for work watching Trigun because it was like one of the last cartoons of Adult Swim before it switched back to Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And I had to leave I had to leave right when it started, but fuck no, man. I'm watching fucking Trigun. So I was late for work for a long time. I had to watch fucking Trigun because that shit was, dude, Vash Stampede is the shit.
So it has a bit of a different art style than the original series. If you're going to watch it, let me know how you feel about it versus the original.
All right, well, so I can watch it tomorrow?
You can watch it now.
Right now. So I'll actually take a look.
So are they
Not right
rebooting
now.
these favorites like?
Well, I'll be back, guys.
Yeah, we'll see Kyle in about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Then if you want to move to the next slide, this is the WTF manga of the week, High School Family. This is a gag manga, which, like many long-running gag mangas, it has kind of grown from its original premise of being very silly to being more of a heartfelt story and kind of a wholesome thing. But the story follows the young man up front. His name's Kotaro Iatani, and he is starting high school. And much to his chagrin, his entire family enrolls in high school at the same time, including his dad, his mom, his younger sister, and his cat. They're all students at the same high school, and they're all in the same
It
class.
doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make fucking sense.
Is it obedience school?
So how do they get the cat's transcripts? I'm going to pull a Hartman here.
They test in. They have to test in.
So they're like to the dad. They're like, "Aren't you like 45?"
So he never went to high school, right? He never did high school when he was young, and so it's kind of like a back to school thing. He's living out his dream. Same with the wife, and then the young daughter is a genius, and the cat is, he qualifies as well. So they all kind of find their own niche.
A thumb to write down answers.
Sounds like the sequel to Billy Madison.
Cat thing.
The son joins the tennis team. The dad plays volleyball. The mom is the baseball team's manager. The daughter becomes the captain of the chess team, and the cat joins a gang.
Are they called the Cadillac Cats?
They're called the Pussy Cats.
So it's hilarious. It's weird, and if you guys are looking for something a little more wholesome in the WTF, I would recommend High School Family.
Dude, that's so funny. The cat joined the gang.
And sadly, we have no more Chainsaw review. Oh, we could review the final episode, Chainsaw Man.
Well, I want, Kyle kind of talked about buying up all the Chainsaw Man for part 1. I kind of wanted to talk about the whole season as a whole rather than just the individual episodes. But
Is it done? Like the first
Yeah,
season?
it's done.
the first season's done. There's 12 episodes. Kyle, I want to get your take. I've been steeped in Chainsaw Man since 2020. Did you enjoy it?
Oh man, like enough that I just spent like $100+ on fucking mangas.
You got
Yeah.
a tramp stamp of the fucking show, right?
Was it anything like you'd ever seen anything before?
No, I thought it was different, and I liked, but still, besides Power, she's my fucking favorite. Just her, I don't give a fuck attitude is awesome.
Yeah.
But just like I've said this before, my goal is just to get into a chick's pants, touch
Yeah.
boobs, like that just speaks high. You know what I mean? Like I loved that concept that it is true. Guys will do almost anything to just to be able to and fucking Matt, what are you looking at?
Chainsaw Man.
And you know what I mean? And I love the violence. I love the gore. I love, it just overall, it seemed like it's just hitting on all cylinders. You don't know what's going to happen next. Like, a lot of things you can kind of predict what's going to happen, what's going to go. But this one is kind of the ones where you're like, okay, I got a feeling with this. Nope. They're gonna change it up on you.
Yeah, one of the things that really surprised me going through the series and with season 1 is that they're not really precious with their characters. In other words, a lot of people die. And there's not plot armor for anybody. People's lives are at stake, and you see that happen in season 1. The team loses a lot of members, and you see people get shot in the head. You see people just they sacrifice themselves for other people, and so when you're talking about the twists and turns, you're like, wow, I really was expecting a lot more people to survive this battle, but they really don't.
It reminds me of The Walking Dead. Like, nobody is safe.
Yeah,
and they prove it. Nobody is safe. You don't get truly attached to anybody except Power, because there's just, how can you not?
Yeah, so, definitely get attached to Power. Yeah, do that.
What did you think, Matt?
I liked it a lot. I mean, it was definitely gory. It was a different change of pace. It definitely filled that void that like One Punch Man has left as far as anime goes for me. I think I'm the only one on the panel that didn't really like Power. I kind of found her annoying and didn't really care for that character. I was more.
I ordered a Power sticker for my car.
I thought Denji was a good lead character, and I can really sympathize with his grind to get that ass and titties. So,
for me, when he gets criticized for his goals, and they say you're the only person on this team not taking things seriously. And when you look at Denji's motivations, what he's wanting is a human life. He wants to experience a normal human life. Like he's never had bread with jam on it. The only thing he ever gets to eat is like half a slice of moldy bread a day when we pick up with him in episode 1. And so like when he indulges, he puts 3 different kinds of jam on his bread. And when he's saying, I want to get to second base, that's my motivation. That's my hero's motivation. It's like all he really wants is a regular teenage life that has been
I still
so
like
far
getting
out.
to second base.
What's that?
I still like getting to second base.
Yeah, right. But for us, it's like a very ordinary thing, even though it's
I look at it
awesome.
as a privilege every time.
Absolutely, but it's something that is more ordinary for us than it was for Denji. Like Denji has no human love in his life, so that kind of thing is what drives him. And it seems very superficial when we first meet him, but as the story goes, you're like, wow, yeah, he really needs this kind of connection to stay grounded.
I really hope he gets laid in the course of this. I want to see him like that punch drunk first time feeling. You know what I mean?
Well, he is just a kid. He's only 16.
It's
So I
about
don't think
being
Kyle. Never happening.
it'll happen for him. I'm rooting for Genji.
But yeah, I thought season 1 was very good. We saw a lot of strange behavior from Makima, where she uses a really strange power to squish a lot of people.
Dude, her power is badass.
awesome.
Yeah. And
But she's
so,
no power.
she's not power. That's true. But there's still a lot of surprises left in this series. I expect it to go probably. They've covered about a third of the series of part 1 so far. So, maybe they wrap it up in another set of 12 episodes, but I doubt it. I think it'll probably go 3 before they wrap up part 1. And then the end of part 1 is absolutely just devastating. You guys buckle up, okay?
I'll know in a couple days when I finally get all my mangas and I can sit down and read them.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Fuck this reading backwards shit though. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I feel the same way about American comics.
I got that Deadpool manga and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
All right,
And I
Sam.
realized, you got to go backwards.
Yep, that's it. See you later, Sam. That was the cardinal sin against comics. So,
I mean, I really liked it though.
dude, it was fucking great, man. It did take a second to fucking adapt to the manga reading style. But
Yeah, no, I get that.
It doesn't really fucking matter.
That's how you go through Playboys, right?
It was one of those series where I wanted to watch anime versus reading the manga and experience it that way first, and then I went back and kind of read the first few chapters, and it's pretty accurate to the manga in a lot of ways. Now I just have to decide if I want to be like you and read forward, or if I want to wait for the anime to come back and just be surprised.
I'm reading forward. I'm putting in the investment, and then I could just get them one at a time as they come out and just stay on it and love it. So there is your anime review. Thank you, Sam.
Woohoo! And we'll just run through first appearances this week because we only had a couple. Batman 131 saw the first appearance of Red Mask, the first appearance of Jewel, an ally of Batman. Will they turn into anything? Who knows? But right now, it's just about telling you what first appearances dropped this week. Scarlet Witch #1, everyone knows, because it was the big talk. The first appearance of Darcy Lewis in the mainstream Marvel Comics universe, previously appearing in the film and in the shows and films. No, she does not look like that. But this Scarlet Witch series is getting a lot of praise right now for its art and the writing. And
who's writing it?
Orlando was Sarah Pacelli drawing it. So
Orlando Bloom.
No, but
Legolas.
I like Pacelli's art, so it's good stuff. Next, Captain 8 or Captain 8. Next, Captain America in the Sentinel of Liberty #8. First appearance of MODOK. New MODOK, a mental organism designed only for control. I think they're trying to shift MODOK to be a little bit more of like what we saw in the Ant-Man Quantumania trailer, as that is kind of the design they went with for this new MODOK.
Makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
It only makes sense.
Yeah.
And then in Spider-Man #4 by Dan Slott and Mark Bagley, we get the first appearance of Spider-Man Peter Palmer, an alternate reality version of Spider-Man based on the editorial naming error of an early Amazing Spider-Man comic. So it's literally like the 60s Spider-Man, and his name is Peter Palmer.
So right off the bat, this is a Secret Wars 2 #1 homage.
Yep.
And Dan Slott's
San
writing it,
Diego
so I'm
there,
not even going to bother with it.
And then Star Wars 30, we have the first appearance of Nihil droids and the first appearance of unnamed characters.
What? What?
Yep, unnamed
Get out of
characters.
here. Unnamed characters.
You heard? That's a
There's
total
like
pickup
50
line.
million
I hope,
unnamed characters.
I hope it says that on the CGC.
Pick it up. Make sure that's a banger. I'm sure the
First
boys.
appearance of unnamed characters.
I'm sure the boys will tear it apart tomorrow night on the Star Wars show. So,
I'm
First
surprised
appearance
Marco's
of
not
Guy and Bar.
yep, first appearance of unnamed characters.
Dude, that's awesome. So, like, what? It's
Yeah, that's so stupid.
There you go.
so. Where do you find all the? Where do you?
I wanted to ask that too. Where do you get that?
You know, there's certain apps out there that you can look to see what was coming out this week that has first appearances in it.
I like that you took the time to put unknown.
Unknown characters.
Unknown characters, baby.
Those are called extras.
There's a lot of comics that introduce unnamed characters.
Yep. Unknown
That's so
characters.
awesome. That's so awesome. That's the greatest, dude. That is by far the best one.
I will say if they do start putting that on CGC labels, they're done.
First
I wouldn't
appearance
trust
of
a CGC.
unnamed characters. Like what is it? Like people that are fighting? Is it people that are just walking by? Is it just a dude that's manning controls in the background? Is it like a cafeteria worker? Like
It's like this kid who steals this like space candy bar from Luke Skywalker, or toothpicks or something.
Oh, so they're expecting him to be something else.
Yeah. And he like starts eating them and he just takes off and bails. From Luke Skywalker. So yeah.
They're banking on him being a future to be a first appearance for.
Right.
That's what they're doing. All right.
First appearance. Of
So
unnamed
it's like you're gonna
characters.
probably find who his
Yeah.
true identity is in future issues.
Right.
But
So
I
it
don't-
would be first appearance of so and so as an unnamed character.
yeah, give it I'll hand it over to the boys at Dark Side
Crew.
to
Yeah.
dissect who these unnamed characters are.
I
But
could not wait to. I have to watch tomorrow's episode next. I wanted them to.
yeah,
I want them to break these unnamed characters down.
there's this unnamed character,
A monoid.
And then-
Okay.
One-eyed snake.
and then there's the little kid with Luke's yellow lightsaber.
With his toothpicks.
Yep.
Oh God.
And then you got here. I'm trying to get to the where he steals the toothpicks. So what look like toothpicks, right?
Now, I
so
will
he's, like,
say,
eating
I will
them.
say on part of the Dark Side Crew, they have been in the comics before. They'll know. They'll know that they're not an unknown character. They'll put a name to them if they've been there before.
That's
They're pretty good about that.
His name is Matt.
Hey, they're like unknown actors, right?
Yeah, it's like first appearance of an extra in a movie. Come on now.
And then we got our top 5. What's our top 5 this week, Kyle?
So our top 5 this week is, since hopefully our guest shows up in the next 12 minutes, we're going to do, since Cliff Chiang is coming on, we are going to do our top 5 Cliff Chiang. I made it broad. I did it. You could do covers or art, whatever, commissioned art, covers, whatever you thought that you enjoyed of his work, put it on the top 5.
Yeah.
So who's up first?
I'm up first. So I did this Spider-Gwen.
Right.
So, and you know what reminds me of the Cliff Chiang art is, it's most of it is the background, the colors of the, and the way that the city and everything is drawn. It
Mhm.
reminded me of that Paper Girls feel, and that, so it really stuck out to me.
The coloring too. Yeah.
Yeah, this one was very good.
Even though he's not a colorist, this was some of his commissioned art, but just tell me that it's not fire.
That is
The
a fire
death-
death. Yeah.
Dude, like, he killed it. Like, I love that. Like, when I was going and I was looking through some of his commissioned art, and I think this was like $2,000 that he sold it. Like, but like, that's just, I just saw it and I was like, fuck, man, that's great.
That's a very paper girly feel to it too.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So number 3, I did this the Catwoman Lonely City. Look at it. I mean, it's just beautiful art. Like, he's very good at what he does.
I know they're swinging away, but it almost looks like Batman is riding Catwoman bareback off into the sunset.
I thought that it was more like they were skipping. But yeah, and then number 2 is, what introduced me into his art. And I'll get into this more with him later. But, when I bought this, I was like, what is this? And I went through it, and a lot of the art is what the art, it's one of those books with the art and what I was talking about earlier, the art and the writing.
Right.
When these things are they just truly mesh. Like, it makes it just fantastic. And it just, we don't get that as much anymore, it seems like.
Just to be on top of that for the Paper Girls, just so you know, he only did the interiors.
No, he did that. That's his.
The cover's his. It's not.
Yep.
No, he did a lot of the covers too.
Yeah, he did that cover.
Okay. I didn't see where he had done any covers, but for the Paper Girls. But all right, I thought he just did interiors.
So, and then this one was from. This is a panel from Batman Eternal that he did, and I just love it. The spotlight, the brick wall, everybody standing there like just ready to brawl. Just like I said, his art is just, it's just great. I thoroughly enjoy his art.
And that one, I like Batman and Batgirl look really good, but Robin in Red Hood, just, I don't know, something about him it looks off. But still sweet. All right. This is nobody's. This is mine. My number 5 was this Poison Ivy cover. I just really liked the way he kind of drew her floating in the water. Really, really well done. I like the way the red kind of pops off with the contrast of the water and her just sitting there, kind of like looking back at you. Number 4, I like this Breakfast Club Teen Titans homage that he did.
I do. When I saw that, I was like, "Fuck! I wish I would have seen that, because that's awesome." I gotta find that and buy that, because I'm a huge Breakfast Club guy, and that's just fantastic.
Next, I like this Batgirl cover homage he did with like the classic Batgirl cycle with the Adam West Batgirl and Batman in the background. Just
Who did that originally?
Beautiful cover.
It was who did that originally?
There was a Snake Eyes one.
No, there's a Batgirl.
It's a Batgirl
the
Purple Rain homage. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he did it as well with the classic Batgirl cycle. So
I like the
Okay.
motorcycle that she has.
My number 2 is Paper Girls number 8. This is a cover that's credited to him. It's like the reflection of the skull in the background. That's super cool. And the electric toothbrush, very detailed. My number 1, Catwoman Lonely City. There's just something about this cover with the way he did her face and all of her classic cowls in the background. It's just a beautiful, beautiful cover. Sticks, did you have anything?
I put it
sent
on
something
there.
to the.
I put it on there. Oh, speaking of Cliff, well, we could. It should be on there. We can have him hop in, and while we're
Maybe he's got a top 5.
and awing over his art.
I don't see it on. Let me refresh
I
this
added
page.
I added it to the doc.
All right, well, let me refresh.
Number 5 should be.
No, it's not on there for me.
Yeah, it should be. Start at slide 52.
You gonna let him in?
It should be G.I.
Okay.
Joe. It should be number
Yeah, there
5.
it is.
Here, I'm just gonna let him come in and talk to us. Oh, I'll let him do his. I'll let him clean. Oh, there he is. Hey, Cliff, how's it going?
Hi, how's it going?
You are our
going great.
top 5 this week for your art.
Top 5? Nice.
We all pick our top 5 favorite, covers, art, everything, and we did you this week.
Nice. Thank you.
It was hard to pick. It really was. Like
It was.
It really was going through your catalog of a lot of stuff. It was like, what the hell am I going to pick? There's just too much good shit out there. So let's do Sticks top 5, and then we'll get rolling.
All right. Hold on, let's see, reshare here. All right. You go, Sticks.
All right. So this one is G.I. Joe Volume 4, number 1. I mean, the Baroness cover.
Beautiful.
I'm a huge Joe collector, so this one's definitely in my collection somewhere. Yeah, beautiful. I like this one. Number 4. Again, that Spider-Gwen. I think we've already talked on that one, but again, the background really hits off with it makes it all such a great art piece.
Yeah, it makes it all come around full circle, almost like a
Right.
complete.
Number 3 is this Red Sonja. Kills? No. What is this one?
Monster Isle.
Monster Isle. Okay. I like Minotaurs. I don't know why. Minotaurs always seem to, seem to be the art that I'll grab if I see a Minotaur on it. So that's why I like this one for the Minotaur. Nothing really, the art's great, and I like Minotaurs.
It's like a twofer.
Riveting.
Yes.
And my next
So
two
good.
has my guy on it. So we got Booster Gold on here. This is Generation Lost. This is issue 7
8
or 5, 8, and the next one's issue 7. And number 1.
And then
is
after
issue
that
7.
falls 9.
Oh, damn. Okay, and this one.
Yeah,
This one doesn't have Booster Gold on it, but this is a great cover. I love the lines. I like how each character is in each of the parallel coming into. So this one's really, really great cover. I really like that, Cliff. You really did hit that one off for me.
Thanks. Yeah, that one was inspired by an older cover, a Silver Age cover. I think it's for Multiversity, maybe.
That one's Multiversity. I think it's Multiversity number 7, right? Is that Multiversity 7? I got it written down, but I'm on a different doc now. But
Nick seems starstruck with you, Cliff.
I am a little because I really love his Paper Girl stuff.
Look how nervous he's got. Like he's
Is that an homage from like a Silver Age, or is it just from?
Yeah, I forget the artist's name right now, but yeah, they were having a bunch of the artists do homages to various Silver Age covers.
Okay.
In the variants.
All right. I'll have to look that one up to get. Yeah.
So how are you doing tonight? Thank you for joining us. It's an honor to have you hang out with us for a bit and chat.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It's it's cool to be here, and yeah, and thanks for having me on to talk about the book, and thanks for liking the book enough to to want to talk with me about it.
Absolutely.
Like I would say, like my number 2 pick was Paper Girls, because I remember on our old podcast that Matt and I did, we did a comic review every week. We did comic reviews, and Paper Girls 1 came out, and I was like, I looked at it and I was like, what is this? And I remember thumbing through and I was like, oh, Brian K. Vaughan, oh, look at this art. Okay, this definitely is something that I need to check out. And I sat down and read it, and I was like, holy shit. This is going to be fire. And I was like, and this is what we were talking about early on the show before you popped on, is between the writing and the art, when they become like this mesh, like total interlocking thing. It's one of those things that it's hard to almost find sometimes nowadays, where everything's kind of like people are just kind of thrown together. And what Paper Girls did was you had that, and it made you run to the comic book store when you knew it was out, so that you could try to figure out what the hell is going on in this book. And I think, how did you guys come up with this concept, and like what led to this awesomeness?
Yeah, well, Brian and I had worked together like on really early in our careers. It was a story for Swamp Thing Secret Files, and I found that the way he wrote really matched up with the way I saw stories in my head. Like the pacing of it and everything felt very cinematic. Partly because I guess he was studying film. I did some film study as well, and like you said, there are times when writing and art really mesh well, and you get this feeling that I think you can kind of only get from comics, where you just get immersed in it. You really get sucked into the comic, and you kind of you feel the pacing, and it just draws you in, and that's something I aspire to on every project. And with Brian, it was so easy. I think we share a certain kind of storytelling style and sensibility, and so working on Paper Girls was really it was just really great all around. He came to me with the pitch. We'd wanted to work together for years, but couldn't get our schedules lined up. And and he came to me with this pitch, and I was super nervous about it. He was like, "Oh, it's 4 12-year-old girls in 1988, and they stumble across this incredible story, the greatest story of all time." And I'm like, I don't know how to ride a bike. I don't I don't know if I can draw 12-year-old girls. Like, I've done like little bits here and drawn kids here and there, but like a whole series with younger kids on bikes, like this sounded like a nightmare. Might as well have added like horses, cars, and like and celebrity likenesses. It just sounded like a nightmare to draw. But at the same time, it sounded so cool, and I realized that if I didn't draw it, I'd be pissed off at whoever was drawing it, and picking it apart, and that's not a good place to be either. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. There are times when you get a project and it makes you a little nervous, and I think that's a good thing. It's hard to know. Sometimes you're nervous for good reasons, but other times you just know you're nervous because it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to require a lot of you. And that's the way I felt going into it.
When you think it's going to be good, does that make it when it makes it more challenging? Like, I would read this book, my art's got to be equally as good.
Yeah, there was definitely, knowing that I need to rise to the level, of Brian's scripts. He's so good at monthly comics, like kind of giving you enough information, giving you new mysteries, to solve, and then, and then paying back that curiosity, issue by issue. So, knowing, I kind of felt like that part of the storytelling is almost like meta, like it's an overarching kind of storytelling style. And then knowing that he had that in hand, made it easier for me to I could then take each scene, and see how I could bring the most out of it. Brian's very cool about, like, if there's anything that feels off in the script or whatever, you want to change, how I've staged something, go for it. He's really aware of the fact that it's a collaboration. And I think that's why his comics always feel like they feel like great comics. They, like everybody has a chance to contribute something to the storytelling.
How far ahead is he in the writing? This was only a 30 book run. Does he have the whole 30 book mapped out for you, or is it like in 10 page, 10 book arcs?
Right. I think he always had like an ending in mind, and maybe sometimes a rough idea of how an arc would go. But basically, he was just writing, a month in advance of me, maybe,
When you guys were writing and drawing this, did you expect it to be this like that book exploded? Like everybody was talking about it. It was on everybody's radar. Is that something that you guys expected, or you're like, we knew it?
It's what you hope for, especially with a creator-owned book. It's so easy for these things to get lost in the shuffle. There's a lot of books coming out, and as an independent creator, you're trying to go up against really long established characters with huge fan bases. And so we were very lucky that when Paper Girls came out, it's like he hadn't had a long running series in a while, and Saga had been has been such a huge hit. People were definitely eager to check it out, and that gave us, it was kind of front loading the whole thing, and so we were very lucky, and it was just, to me, I'm just grateful that when people get to read my work, that's like the main reason for doing it. It's like I wouldn't draw this stuff if nobody could see it, and if it were just hidden in a drawer somewhere. You always want the biggest possible audience, not even from like a money perspective, like you're selling comics. You just want as many people to read your books as you can, because it's just, that's why you're doing it, to try and reach and communicate with people,
Right.
Like I remember, like Matt and I, we reviewed every issue. I think we reviewed we reviewed the whole run, didn't we, Matt?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember you guys went on hiatus for a little bit before you guys ended it, and I was like, oh. But it was, I mean, like, like when you were like traveling, telling them to have to travel through time, and you were just, and there was so much going on. Like, it had to have been hard to take all of that as you guys are coming up with this concept and cramming it into all these pages, because there's a lot going on all over the place. It's, especially when they're kind of, split up a little bit, and there's things. It just, like, how were you like, how am I going to make this work with everything,
Yeah, that was all Brian. I think he had an idea of how it would tie together. And you're just kind of playing, you're kind of improvising to some degree, to get to that ending. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Especially that final issue is exactly what I was hoping for. Like in the issue before that, we kind of wrap up the larger story of the Time War, and then we get this last double size issue to really just sit with the characters again, and kind of get to say goodbye to them, and that was awesome. I really love that last issue.
I mean, it was fantastic. Like it, and we were talking about this earlier before he came on too, is writers and stuff sticking the landing, and you guys did it. You guys stuck the landing. It closed up very nicely. And it seems like today it's hard to do. I don't know if it's time constraints or it's pressure or whatever is going on behind the scenes, but like you guys managed to do it. And so like it was like the full package. We got everything. And I commend both you guys for doing that. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it is hard. It is hard to end a series. I think, you have a lot of things going on at once. You need to wrap up the plot. You need to give closure with the characters, and those things might not fit into one issue or two issues or three issues even, so when you get to that, those last few issues, how is it wrapping up? Are you giving enough time to things? It's a really tricky balance. So I was really happy that I enjoyed the ending of it, and I felt like it gave you certainly what you need, emotionally from the characters, and
Were-
especially to
Were you?
just sell the that the last few pages, that ending. You're kind of building it all towards that. Like, are they going to remember any of their friendship, and how will they stay together? That's like the big question, I think, around the whole series, is like, it's about friendship and how tightly you hold on to those relationships.
Were you back pretty good? I mean, it doesn't seem like you were rushed to finish the book, but were you back pretty good?
Yeah, we were, time wise, it was fine. We had the same schedule. We actually, it was always 5 issues on and then 3 months off, with the trade coming out in that middle month. So it was always like kind of like an 8-month cycle, between arcs.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now I forgot. Thanks a lot, Sticks.
You're welcome.
So, that's what I was gonna say. When Paper Girls exploded, did you end up taking your phone and just changing your phone number, or leaving it off the hook? Because I imagine you were getting pulled in every direction after that.
I don't know. I felt like, I don't know. That was like 2015, which is like, a century ago in internet time, So it was just nice to see, I mean, yeah, it was, I definitely wanted to see how it was being received. And so I would check out a lot of the comments and people writing about it and stuff. But, it feels different from today, where the reactions are even faster and more.
I mean, there's nothing worse than an artist getting more work, right? I mean,
I know, what a bummer.
Well, I knew I was going to be busy, at least, with Paper Girls, and knowing that we had like a good launch, meant that, hopefully we'd be able to finish out the story. We knew it was going to be 30 issues from the get-go, which was really cool, and built out a schedule for it, and just, knew it was going to be the next 3-4 years.
When it comes to the Amazon show, what was it like for you personally, seeing these characters that you brought to life on the big screen, so to speak?
Yeah, it was really surreal, in a lot of ways, because they Amazon started making the series, and then we didn't know how much we were going to be involved. We purposefully kind of hung back, to let the show creators do what they wanted to do with it. You have to empower other people to do work, and not do like a one-for-one adaptation. Like, we didn't want kind of show that would get spoiled by Wikipedia, by somebody reading ahead, and they really did a wonderful job of adapting the story, and bringing new layers to it. They really made the show their own, but they really kept the heart of the comics in there. And and we offered our help, and some background info at the beginning, but basically we just hung back and let them do what they wanted and what they needed to do, which was great. But seeing how things change, that's all part of the adaptation process. But I was excited by all of it, because I just having another version of the story out there, I think is super cool. I was hearing maybe somebody say that, I forget where I read it, but they thought like the TV show was like maybe what happens to them after the comic. Like it's like this cycle where like they're going through this time loop a little bit, and so it's like the TV show is just like another version of the comic, which I thought was really, really lovely.
Kind of an alternate universe type of
idea.
Idea.
Like this is another way how it played out.
How much did they consult you on it?
We talked with them and we read scripts and you know, but again, you know, we were ready to step in if they, you know, if something really felt off, but we never had to. You know, they were really just so good about it, and this the showrunners and the writing staff, like they really nailed it, the tone of the book, and you know, and the things that they added to the show through in the show were fantastic.
Are you able to give, I mean, you might not know or not be able to, but are you able to kind of give us any inside information on the process of shopping the show to a different network since Amazon has decided to cancel it?
Right. Yeah. That stuff, unfortunately, I don't know anything about. You know, that's kind of Legendary, you know, is definitely still interested in bringing the show or bringing the property out there in whatever form it can take. But, you know, unless something happens, I guess I'm not going to hear about it until then.
That's above your pay grade, in other words.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're on a need to know basis. So as you were honing and drawing, like I'm gonna step away from Paper Girls a little bit, and what are some of your favorite things to actually draw? Like what you have, you know, like I've looked at a lot of your commissions and a lot of your art, and where do you find yourself? Like I just love drawing this, and I love, you know, like what is your favorites? Like, you know, like your death, that death commission you did, like it was on my top 5. Like, what is it that what's your favorites to draw?
I mean, a lot of it will be just, you know, either books that I really loved, you know, any characters from stuff that I really enjoy, you know, is always fun to draw. But, you know, I mean, when it comes to comics and stuff like that, for me, it's really the story that gets me excited. At this point, I feel like I've had a chance to draw like most of like the big heroes in some capacity. So I don't have that feeling now of like, oh, I wish I could draw Batman, you know, because I've drawn Batman, you know, a couple times, you know, or Superman or something like that, you know, and you know, so I don't kind of get that that feeling about like, oh, I wish I could draw that character, because it's more about the story. One of the most fun projects I've worked on also is Dr. 13 with Brian Azzarello. And the whole concept there was that it's a whole bunch of D-list DC characters who are being written out of continuity, and they're trying to stop it. And you know, and these were characters I didn't know anything about and had no desire to draw prior to the project. But you know, I came to love them and love drawing them. So that working on that kind of proved to me is like, yeah, as long as it's a good story, it'll get me fired up and I'll enjoy it.
So, like when you were approached to Catwoman, Lonely City. So, how did that come about?
That came about probably around like the last year of Paper Girls. That was starting to wrap up, and they had announced DC Black Label, which I thought was just the coolest idea. I used to work on staff at Vertigo as an assistant editor, and one of the things we always we're told is you have to keep the things separate. Like DC is one thing, and Vertigo, mature readers stuff is another thing. You cannot have mature readers superhero stuff, for licensing issues and merchandising and whatever. It made a lot of sense at the time. This is before, superheroes took over cinema, and now, with things like Deadpool and Peacemaker, and, it's the audience at large is very comfortable with the idea of superheroes, and now they want other stuff, and so DC, when DC Black Label was announced, it seemed like the perfect mix. Things that I always wanted to do was, kind of try and approach some of these DC characters with, a more adult take. So, they reached out to me and they said, what do you have? Do you have anything? I was like, I don't have anything. It's like, well, we'd love to see, like your version of New Frontier, Darwin Cook's New Frontier. And I was like, wow, that's cool. That's a great idea. Let me think about it. It took me like 6 months of like trying to figure out like what kind of story I would want to tell, and realizing that I didn't have like a big epic story like New Frontier, and that I should focus more on one character. And Catwoman to me seemed like really underused. You could tell any kind of story with her. She's such a great, kind of classic noir character. So I realized I could tell a Catwoman heist story, which is like kind of a format that people are familiar with. But then if I could add enough twists to it, make it adult enough, then I would really have something that would appeal to longtime readers of comics, as well as, someone who's never picked up a comic before. One of the things about Black Label is trying to make these evergreen books that you could sell, could give to anybody, like Dark Knight Returns or, Batman Year One, that kind of thing. I really wanted a story that didn't require you to know lots and lots of continuity. You just needed to know who these characters were, and that the continuity would kind of get filled in, as needed, in the story, and would kind of just work as backstory if you knew it, but not, it wouldn't keep anybody from understanding what was going on. Once, thinking about a Catwoman heist story, that's been done as well. But when I figured out the twist of her being older, that's when the whole thing kind of came into focus for me. There was something there to talk about. There's something there to talk about in terms of sexism and ageism and how that relates to Catwoman being an older woman. And that is like the main reason for the story existing. Otherwise, it's just another romp, that you would forget about, and this really focused it and made it about something.
Is it challenging to you to try and get like that perspective of like a mature woman and do that without losing a feeling of authenticity?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think primarily, I do try to. There's a lot of myself in the story, on a bunch of different levels, and as I get older, these are a lot of the things that I worry about, as well, and trying to put my insecurities and fears in there was a big part of kind of fleshing her out, and then but it's not, you don't have to look very far to see to find
Sure.
sexism and ageism, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, so there's lots of real world examples of it, and you just gotta kind of keep your eyes and your ears attuned to it, and hearing stories, and watching, like, say, my wife, in her career, and what she's worked on, and the things that have happened to her, and they're just, over the years, those things accumulate, and I tried to present that stuff as honestly as possible, and not necessarily, there's lots of things that happen within the story that happen specifically to Catwoman because she's a woman. A lot of these plot things might not turn on the same thing, on the same way, if it were a guy, if this were, say, a Nightwing story, and he's 50, things don't hit the same way. So, it really is part of the DNA of the project that, that it's specifically Catwoman.
Did you find it more freeing when you were working on this project? The fact that the big players in the Batman universe were kind of off the board for you, where you didn't have to worry about how you were going to incorporate Batman, Joker, Nightwing, Commissioner Gordon. You could just kind of, so to speak, play with Selena Kyle in your big sandbox that you wanted to create.
Yeah, that was from the beginning. That was the intention, is to kind of clear the board a bit. What is Gotham without the Joker and Batman and Commissioner Gordon? Because so much of the fate of the city has rested on how those three interact, and so when you get rid of them, then everything's fair game. You have no idea what could happen in that world. If Batman is dead, then anybody could die. And the city can feel very different at that point. I wanted to also explore the idea of Gotham as a city, as a real city, and what the repercussions of um, of having supervillains and then not having any of that, and having this over policing, to just give more, I don't know, give more for more everyday life stuff, more real political stuff for readers to hold on to, to recognize, and so it would make Gotham feel like a real city, and not just like a kind of crazy Tim Burton, kind of environment. Like a lot of times it feels like Gotham is more of a visual backdrop than it is an actual city.
To kind of go from someone else writing the script and you drawing the art for it, to this being Lonely City being you doing everything, penciling, inking, writing, did you have to approach it differently? Did you find it a little bit more freeing, or do you prefer to just get the script and then kind of let your vision go from what someone else is giving you, or did you really enjoy the freeiness of everything is just 100% you can be as raw and come at it from any direction that you want?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed both approaches. There's something really nice when you get a good script and then it's your job just to kind of make it sing, and that's a really cool feeling. And the feeling of collaboration there is really great, because there are ideas in the script that things that you wouldn't necessarily think of, and that you try to, and they inform you and how you do the storytelling. But it's also cool, and one of the things I've always loved about comics is that it is possible to do all of it. Like if this were like a movie, yeah, I wouldn't be able to do all of it, but with comics, I can tell the whole story by myself, and that was a challenge. It's certainly the longest thing I'd written. I'd only written like short things up to that point, and it was a big project, so I had to kind of outline all of it. There was a lot of preparation involved before I actually started drawing. I wrote the whole thing out and then started drawing it, and it wasn't until all that was done. I actually thumbnailed all of it and lettered it, all 4 issues, and then started so I could read it and show it to the editors and say, like, this is what the comic is. Even if it's in rough form, you can read it and you can say, oh, this scene doesn't quite work, or maybe we should move this, this feels off. There are a lot of times when in a script you can't see those things until they're on paper, and and until it's and actually drawn as a comic. So that was super helpful to have all that, and it was all very intentional. And then I started doing the penciling and the inking and the coloring. So it was pretty exhausting, to have written like 200 something pages, and then letter it and then go kind of back again and then do kind of, almost the grunt work of, the actual penciling and inking. Because in a way, I kind of felt like I had told the story already in thumbnail format. So it required a lot more discipline, I think, than I had to show before. Just a long project always feels very different from like a monthly comic, where a monthly comic feels like more punk rock, like you're just getting it out there, and you're fighting against the deadline, you're jamming together on these pages and trying to get it out the door, and there's something really exciting and energetic about it. And this was like a symphony orchestra, kind of piece that I was, composing, and so a lot of little pieces coming together slowly, and it wasn't until the last page that I actually kind of felt really done with it, and but with a monthly comic, you feel you get those moments every 20, 22 pages where you can kind of stop and rest and say, okay, what's the next thing,
I just
Are you
imagine
more
you
of a-
telling
are
like,
you more of a
don't
digital
bother
artist?
me. I'm doing everything. Leave me alone for like 12 hours. I need, like, I assume you gave yourself, like, I have to get X amount done. I have to get X amount done. I have to get X amount done.
Yeah, I mean, it was, part of me would love to be like, don't bother me. I'll come back to you in 3 years and I'll have the whole book, And the interesting thing is the Black Label, books are larger. They're magazine size, so they're roughly like 8.5 by 11. But a regular comic is 7 inches by 10 inches. And that extra size is really it kicked my ass. Like it was just it was so much more work. And then I was adding more panels per page because I had a lot of story to tell, and I also like a dense reading experience as well. So like each page easily felt like twice as much work as it normally would on another comic. Part of that's the storytelling style, part of that's the size of the page, and part of that's me doing all the different, art jobs on it. So, it really, I was not prepared mentally or deadline calendar wise for how long it would take. But but I enjoyed it, and it's again, it's a different kind of comic from a monthly comic. I remember picking up Dark Knight Returns when I was a kid, and feeling how kind of special it felt. It felt different from a monthly comic, and it felt kind of more deluxe. The packaging, the presentation, all of it. You felt like you were getting something different. And much in the way that maybe like those large treasury size editions felt in the 70s. And I wanted this to feel the same way, just make the reader feel like they're getting something extra. Like these books cost more too, so but let's make this feel different from a monthly comic. Otherwise, why do it?
So one of the things I wanted to get kind of pick your brain about is what you find more compelling. Is it the small story or the big story? And what I mean by small is the personal issues of the character. Like with Catwoman, she's growing older, she's experiencing sexism. It's a very personal issue versus kind of the grandiose, the timeline or space and time is at risk, that kind of thing. Where do you find the more compelling stories?
I think you can find it anywhere, and that's I think, but where it works best is when those things tie into character. So like those personal things, like what Selena's going through, like those things all have to mean something to her, and they have to tie in. I could do those things with a larger cosmic story, but like would the stakes of that story, would the plot, would that tie into what she's feeling, what she's doing? So you really want to meld those things, because I think you can have like a huge epic story too, and it just, but you always have to focus on the character. That's why you continue reading. It's what pulls you through, and it all needs to connect back to that, or else it starts to feel, you get that feeling where you just feel like the story's being told to you and you're not sure why it's important at all. It's like it becomes like a little kid telling a story, where it's like, and then this happened, and then this happened,
Yeah.
and you don't really care, it just becomes a plot. And so, when the plot dovetails with the character, that's when it becomes meaningful.
So who are your influences? So like, you write, you draw. So obviously, talking about this, you read comics growing up. I'm sure you still read them. So growing up, and then you finally get to do this, who were your influences? Who did you be like, okay, I like this, I like that? Like,
yeah, I mean, growing up, I had a lot of, the main influence were the things that I was reading early on, like John Byrne, Fantastic Four, and Paul Smith on X-Men and that kind of thing. But I was reading comics for a few years when I was really young, and then stopped and didn't get back into it until I was in college, when I found the Vertigo stuff and started reading Sandman and Hellblazer. And that led me to independent stuff like Madman and Love and Rockets and Bone, and and like that's when I knew that I really loved comics as an art form too. It wasn't just the superhero stuff. It was like, oh, look at all these different kinds of stories that could be told. and so all those things have kind of, been, all those things are influences, but yeah, there's always part of me that's always going to really like superheroes or can't really get away from it. I love genre stuff. I love science fiction. I love, so it's hard not to be swayed by that. I definitely read a lot of, a lot of Del Rey tour paperbacks as a kid,
Hartman, did you have a question for Cliff?
No. Yeah, I do. Do you prefer pen or do you prefer digital over pen and paper? Like digital means.
Yeah, I mean, I work in a hybrid method. I used to, do, everything on the boards, but it's easier now with all the penciling. My pages can get really messy, especially, and fixing things is really so much easier when you work digitally. If I pencil like a great looking head and it happens to be like 20% too small for the body, like I can just go in Photoshop and blow it up.
Vector.
Yeah, so it's a lot easier to do that stuff, but then I miss kind of the unpredictability of working on boards. So I do all my inks traditionally. I'll print everything out in blue on Bristol board and then ink that, and then that gets scanned back in the computer and colored and everything. So but for penciling is so much planning work, and it really helps to have to do things digitally, like set up your perspective grids, and you can drop in reference. You can do things much easier for the pencils, which really just have to be a blueprint for what your inks are going to be. So I really enjoy the penciling being digital, but then having the inks be traditional is something I don't know. I just like having boards, and haven't quite gotten the feel of inking digitally yet. So
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, if how you transition to using the digital. Does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, occasionally I'll do a cover fully digital, but
was that was that Batgirl? I think it was Batgirl Prince Homage.
Yeah, no, that one was traditional.
That was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I saw that.
Most of them have been. I think there was like 1 or 2 pieces. I did a saga pinup for the first, I think the first deluxe compendium, and then
that's an impressive cover to do by hand like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think that was before I got, I really got my feet wet with the digital stuff too. So
wow.
Like you did that Breakfast Club homage with Teen Titans. Like, I'm a huge Breakfast Club guy, so when I've seen that, I think that's incredible. What made you go, you know what? I need to homage the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, my friend was a club promoter, and he was doing a cosplay night, and he had this idea for a flyer of showing superheroes dancing, and I was like, that's I see what you're going for, but that's not going to look right. It's going to look weird. So let me come up with something else, and then kind of just landed on this idea of taking famous album covers and then mashing them up with superheroes. I felt like that was kind of more true to the spirit of it, and and would just kind of be more interesting to look at and funnier. And and it started off with that, I think that Batgirl one, or maybe a Vampirella one. Maybe Vampirella was the first one, for Duran Duran Rio, and once I did a couple of them, I was like, oh wait, I could do more of these and just have fun with it. And the Breakfast Club one was really fun for me, just like the idea of the John Hughes Brat Pack movie, and then relating that like the fun part about doing those was finding the right mashup, because you could kind of mash anything together, but that doesn't mean it's going to be fun, and it won't add like levels to it, and I think all the ones that I did, I tried to have something where visually there was a reason you would connect these things, and there would also be some kind of additional joke, you know, in there in the pairing of it.
So that ended up being a flyer.
The first ones were flyers, and then the rest, you know, I kind of just did for myself, and
Mhm.
and you know, was just liked posting them on the internet, and you know, and they were they were fun.
Is there a way to, did you make prints of them for sale or anything?
Yeah, I did. Well, I was going to shows, a lot more shows back then, and it was good to have, you know, something to offer, you know, for people who, you know, already had, you know, getting their books signed, and you know, didn't have a lot of books under my belt yet either. You know, now if I go to a show, I just have, you know, I have boxes of Paper Girls trades and things that I can sell. But you know, back then it was like, you know, here I am, hi.
So if someone comes to you and says, "I want you to do an homage of a movie or whatever," what movie would you personally pick to do?
Oh yeah, you know, I haven't done one of them in a while. Part of me feels like there was a time when that felt like really new, and then
Right.
now everybody's doing it. You know, so like it's less, it's a little less interesting now.
Yeah.
I haven't
So
really thought about it.
like a lot of people do like the Back to the Future
Hmm.
homage type things. And what movie what movie do you love that you would do one for?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Let's see, for movies, it could be pretty tricky. I don't know. You never. I never start with one or the other really. It's sort of like maybe it's the character first, and then trying to find a movie that would relate to it.
Kind of
But you know,
okay.
but yeah, no, it's been a while since I've had to think about it. So I don't really have any that I haven't done. You know, I haven't really wanted to revisit it that much, just because
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have like a good gag for it. You know, and then so I didn't want to water down, you know, the whole series.
That's actually kind of awesome that you're like, you know what, I'm not gonna just keep doing it just to keep doing it. Like, you know how there's a lot of people out there that they find their
Yeah,
niche,
because
so to speak, in their thing, and they
Right.
just keep pumping it out. So I mean, that's kind of cool. You're like, you know, that's cool. I'm good
some
with
people can
that.
kind of put you into a box, right? Oh, he does
That's
those
true.
homage
Yeah.
covers, and
Yeah. Right.
you know.
Yeah, it
Whereas if
it
you
becomes
very
a shtick,
very
you know?
you know,
Yeah.
What is that one project where you're like, God, I wish they would freaking call me about?
um, wow. You know, there was the sort of the one that got away, I guess, you know, is the Batman um project with Azzarello. It was going to be a pulp inspired Batman. It was actually supposed to happen when DC was doing the Shadow,
Mhm.
and they had this whole
oh,
Doc Savage, the first wave books that were coming out,
yeah,
and you know we were going to do Batman, but like kind of 40s ish inspired, and you know, and it was going to be, you know, kind of he was going to be running around. He'd have guns, and it was sort of about him learning, like the journey of him not, you know, getting to a place where he decided not to use them, and how he was going to connect with, you know, a version of the Joker who, you know, they were just kind of, you know, positioned on opposite sides of like the same, you know, within Gotham, and a lot of great ideas. You know, there's even a first script, you know, but it all got put on pause around, you know, the New 52, and so, but that would be
Yeah,
a
New
lot of fun,
52.
yeah, to come back to.
That's Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, I
What's
thought
up?
it looked like you had a question. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was yelling at my dog.
I thought you were asking a question and you were muted.
Nah, my dog.
so,
Trying to get my dog to chill out.
so I guess on speaking on things that have gone away, what's coming up for you that you have started or are in talks to do, if you can say anything?
Yeah, no, I mean after wrapping Catwoman, you know, I definitely the tank feels like kind of empty. I'm getting bored, which is good. And so I'm doing a lot of thinking about like, you know, stories and different directions to take things in. I definitely want to do more creator-owned stuff. It's really fun playing with the toys, especially DC's toys. But part of me feels like, yeah, it's I'd love to do more creator-owned work going forward, just to see where that goes. Right now, I'm mostly doing covers and illustrations. Some doing a thing for a book that's not announced. I'm working on covers for an IDW book that hasn't quite been announced yet, and then some variants here and there. So just kind of dipping my toes back into it.
Right.
Trying to find. I don't want to
Yeah.
do. I don't always just want to do the same thing over and over. So I want to see what I can. How I can approach things a little differently to keep them fresh for me and for the readers.
How do you refill that well?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think a lot of it is reading and watching movies and just kind of taking a little bit slow, and finding out like what is interesting to me and what's inspiring. It's definitely easy to just kind of jump back into it. And just do what you've been doing, and there's a temptation there, because it's like when I don't work, I do get a bit antsy, and I feel that now, but and it'd be the easiest thing to, maybe work on more Catwoman stuff, say, but is that I don't know if that's the best for anybody, really. I think we need to all need to keep trying different things, new things, and challenging ourselves. So, want to just, take a little breather, and then figure out like what the next thing could be. Maybe it's something that, because when you don't have the time, and you're rushing and trying to, get pages done on deadline, you're not necessarily daydreaming. You're not considering all the options. So, just taking this time now to see what, presents itself and see what other things I haven't been thinking about.
So what are some of the, go ahead, Sticks.
I was just going to ask, do you keep like a notebook or like a sketch pad with you? Like say you're watching something and like something pops into your head and you're like, oh, maybe that, or maybe this.
Yeah, I should. But no, yeah, I mean, I tend to have like ideas and they just sit in the back of my head and they just percolate, and hopefully one of these days I'll get around to writing more of it down. But I'll just let it sit there, and if there's enough there, it'll just keep morphing and changing and evolving. But hopefully, I've definitely got some ideas for like longer things that I want to do, but I also don't want to bite off more than I can chew. So, trying to figure out what the best, way of doing that is,
What are your thoughts on the AI situation? I had to ask this.
It's everybody's talking about it. I haven't done anything with it. I think it can be an interesting tool, but I don't know. But right, these things are all trained on artists' work, and there's no real, unless you can limit that set of images. I don't see how it's possible for it to, actually be ethical,
My question is, as far as like getting your creative ideas and having your like creativeness, as far as it generating images to give an idea of something that you're looking for, like something that you can't quite put on paper, as far as like just getting your memory or your brain going. How do you feel if that being used as a tool?
Yeah, I mean that could be interesting. It's sort of like just this random like making like a jumble of things, like and kind of pushing your thoughts in different directions. But it could work that way. I think the temptation there though would be to the specifics of how it's put something together might be really what's attractive about it, and you don't know exactly how those specifics were were generated, and from whom it's being generated, So, yeah, I think it's tricky. It's hard. It's really tempting to think about these things being kind of anonymous, but because the work has been stripped of its authorship, but there's you can feel it, it's not as
It does have that look.
yeah, like it just I don't know. It's really tricky. I think if you wanted to, for me, I don't see it being that useful as I don't need to see things in the style that AI generated images tend to look. Like I don't need to see the kind of photo bashed concept art looking things. Like I can kind of see that in my head already. Whether or not I can execute it, like that is another thing. But like I don't need to see that to understand it. But then I think there are people who aren't visually trained or visually oriented who might need to see, oh well, this is what this is what what that thing would look like.
I was thinking the other day, they had this new thing that they did for one of the AI things where it merges pictures. And I thought it'd be perfect for level design in a video game, like a 2D side scroller. It would be absolutely perfect for a tool being used like that. And the time restraint and all that stuff would be cut down. But I didn't know how you feel about as an artist.
I mean, I don't know how it would be useful to me yet. And then and that's aside from just like the ethical concerns. But it's all in development. We'll see where it goes.
So, do you have any cons coming up? Do you have anything coming up for anything to promote?
Not really. Thanks for thanks for the offer. I'm just kind of lying low for now. Which is kind of I'm enjoying that. And just kind of taking things in and soaking it all up and letting myself, daydream, get a little bored, get a little antsy. Those are, feeling that need to work again, is and wanting to do it, as opposed to like just definitely by the end, I was pretty worn out and it just kind of required this, just clocking in and clocking out every day that got it was like Groundhog Day. It was like, just what page am I on?
I'm sure there's a lot of people who go to work that feel the same way. It's not just artists,
Right.
Everybody here.
And once you're in the middle of a project, it always feels like that, and so it's good to take a little bit of a break, kind of a vacation of sorts.
Right.
And then,
sabbatical.
Yeah.
So, do you still do commissions for people? Do you still do any of that? Is there anywhere where people can go and buy your art? Is there anything?
Yeah, my art rep is Felix Comic Art. He's at felixcomicart.com. He represents a whole bunch of great artists like Daniel Warren Johnson, Paul Pope, Ryan Sook, Sanford Green, and just a whole bunch of people. So he's got my originals. I haven't done any commissions in a while. I'm, maybe I'll open up a list later in the year. We'll see. It depends on where I am. If I figured out the next project, then maybe not. But if I'm still, kind of treading water, then that might be a good thing to kind of get, different pistons firing.
Yeah,
because I really want to commission you to. Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I was just saying because everything is sold.
Right.
Yeah, just about.
I was gonna say, I hope you do, because I really want to commission you to do a Peter Parker, Mary Jane, Sleepless in Seattle homage cover.
I was trying to think of like a Fight Club homage, like who would be the two best to. But I mean, yeah. So if you're interested, I mean, go to Felix Comic Art. Click on Cliff's Cliff thing. You can see a lot of his art. There's some up that's still for sale, but it's like 98% of it's gone, which is awesome.
there was a
love
lot
that
of that
people-
soul stuff that was really great. 'Cause if I had the money, I would have bought it myself. But
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the
there's a
cool
lot of
thing
stuff
about
in
the
there.
site is, Felix has
Saw
like
some
really
pops.
great high-res scans of all that stuff that's
Yeah.
been sold. Even if you can't purchase it, you can get like a really nice look at at what the pages look like.
right,
So you're more than welcome to hang out, Cliff. We're doing our movie wars. We've got our cartoon wars. You're more than, but I know you're busy, and I'm sure it's Saturday night, and I'm sure you want to hang out with the wife. We completely understand, and we really appreciate you coming on the show. It was an honor. It was great
Yes,
talking to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks so much. No,
Great
it was
having
really,
you on.
really cool talking with you guys. I really appreciate, I appreciate all your questions. They they were really, really interesting, and a lot of ones that I haven't gotten before. So, so thank you.
good.
Hey, that makes it so it's not just the regular.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say that. So that's
Yeah,
awesome. I'm glad.
Your
I'm glad
usual
you got
con questions that you always get.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
yeah, I'm glad we
Yeah.
got to spice it up a little bit for you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, you're more than welcome to stay. We understand if you got to go, no worries. So, if you got to go, have a great night and a great weekend.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
we
thank you
appreciate
guys.
it.
Have a good one.
Yeah,
too,
thank
bye-bye.
you, Cliff.
You too. Thank you. Awesome.
He was like, I'm not staying. I'm out.
Yeah,
Hey.
I've given these guys enough of my time. Well, what I'll do is I'll share the screen real quick. I'll show off some of his art, and then we'll move on, which we should have done while he was on here. Add to stream. So I'll start up. Like, I mean, it's
Kyle's
just
sharing, so the internet's gonna go to
There's
crap.
that,
So just
you know.
bear with us.
He had some great portrait art
Hold on.
there that for characters.
Is it on yet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're good.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I got that death going, because I was like, oh, I'd love that. But I
Right.
mean, like, this stuff is just fantastic. And that's what I was saying. Like, a lot of it's sold.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not rich enough to buy the Batman Eternal. A lot of the Paper Girl stuff is gone.
Oh sure.
But I mean,
Sticks.
it's
If
just,
you hadn't bought so many
it's
pops, you
incredible.
could have got some.
I know, right? He did have a couple of those booster gold ones on there. I think one had sold, one didn't, and I would have gotten that. $2,000. I think it was, but and not with my pop budget, Sam.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if you're interested in any of his
$100. You
art,
could
it's up
you
here.
could do $100.
Oh, I could do $100 for easy. 2,000? No.
There's some awesome shit up here, though. So if you're interested, what is it? FelixComicArt.com. Click on Cliff on his picture, and there you go. So awesome interview. Cool dude. I'm glad that we spiced it up a little bit for him.
Yeah, it's always good to hear that
Ready,
your
Matt?
questions are different than what you're usually getting, right?
Try to be a little bit outside the box, a little bit.
I really
It's always
wanted to
been
talk to him
more
about Chainsaw Man, but oh well.
Well, you shouldn't have been yelling at your dog.
Sorry, Sam. I needed to get my question out, and I didn't know when to go in. So
It's okay.
You just gotta jump in there, Hartman.
I didn't want to be rude.
Yeah, you really do. You just got to, because if no one's talking, I'm just going to keep asking questions.
Yeah, I know. I was like trying to find that window where like the door
Yeah,
wasn't
okay.
shut.
Movie
So,
Wars.
Movie Wars.
Great
Starting
window.
Starting a new year. Oh, we got an intro for this, don't we? One of these days, I'm going to remember what we have intros for and what we don't. But Movie Wars, I'm going to start 2023 off with, I think it'll be a fun one. I'm going to do comedies.
Ooh.
So to start this off, I started with Office Space, which was one of my personal fucking favorites because it's so dead on, and I got Half Baked.
Ooh, man. Well, Office Space.
Half baked.
Half Baked is
Dude,
funny.
Office Space is
Doctor
just,
says I need a backiotomy.
Office
Half
Space
baked.
is so funny because it just hits the mark with every office.
Yeah.
No matter where you work, what you do, like it's that's it. That's it right there.
TK says tie.
Kind of that, and I made
Yeah,
this
yeah.
first one a little bit hard on purpose. I thought just to really get to 2023 going, but I think it's just Office Space. I just
Yeah.
think,
Office Space.
Yeah, Office Space has just a little bit more flair, right?
It's got the quotables.
it does. It's got more flair.
The
And I've
O-
got
Half
the
baked
flair
has
right
a lot
here.
of quotables too.
Oh, no, the Office Space is way
Fuck
more.
you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you. I'm out.
Dude, I've always wanted to say that at my work.
There's just
At work
too
as I'm
many.
leaving.
The O face, the stapler. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
No,
need
stapler.
I just, yeah, let me tell you something about TPS reports. And then, when he's in there and the dude's like,
the
"Tell me about
Scarface.
TPS
the-
reports." He gets like, and fucking Dr. Cox gets all pissed. No, I got this. Like whenever he talked about TPS reports, fucking made Dr. Cox so pissed.
Right.
So
So yeah, make sure to head over to the Renovision YouTube channel. We'll have, and social medias will have Pete post the polls and
Yep.
vote for
Uh,
these two movies. And
hopefully
we'll
he'll get it by
declare them.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think you have to click on the community tab, right?
Yes.
Yep. You have to click on the community
Yeah.
tab on the channel, and then you'll be able
100%,
to vote
Jeffrey.
in the polls. So that's good. I kind of did the same thing with Cartoon Wars 2023 New Year. I kind of decided to start off a little bit with parodies. So I went with Johnny Quest versus the
my-
Venture Brothers.
Oh, they're like the same thing. Oh my god.
Parodies.
Yeah. Oh. Johnny Quest
I would
is such a
go-
classic, and I love the classic. Venture Brothers was a great watch as like you said, as a parody. So, man, that's a tie on me. But I don't know which one I'd lean to.
I think I'm gonna lean more towards Johnny Quest because there was just something about it.
I like Venture Brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do
Venture
too.
Brothers.
I think Brock Sampson's way more of a badass than Race Bannon.
Yeah.
But there was just something about
That
Johnny
one where he stands in the middle of the road and he gets like ready and then he just falls into the car and kills the guy. Kills the guy driving the car.
Wouldn't you have to go with if the one didn't exist, then neither would the other, though?
No, you don't have to do that.
No.
I don't know. It feels wrong. It didn't
No,
exist,
you don't have to do that.
but you got to.
No, you don't.
You have to. You do.
So who do you think is going to win this one in our community polls?
I think Venture Brothers takes it.
Yeah, I think
And I think Office Space is going to take it.
Testing
I would
the
say with,
torsion, yep.
the people in our chat, Venture Brothers is probably going to take it.
Yeah, it's looking like it.
Yeah.
I've never seen Johnny Quest.
Johnny Quest is great. I still love
Yeah.
Johnny Quest and having a affinity for Johnny Quest, but there's just something about Venture Brothers that just absolutely slays me.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll have to. Hopefully, Pete will get that up by Wednesday.
I just like the episode where you find out that Hank and Dean are clones and the originals are dead, and you see how many times they've died, and jumping off the roof is Batman with an umbrella, and
Their
so
beds
good.
are clone machines, right?
Yep, so
Yeah.
good. But all right, that's it for Cartoon Wars and Movie Wars. Like I said, make sure to head over to the Renovision YouTube channel, hit that community tab, and make sure to cast your vote to declare the winners. And we'll have new options for you next week. Next, we got our hot chick of the week.
This week I went with my new crush, Doc Misty Ray.
She a doctor?
I mean, she does a lot of shorts where she pretends to be a nurse and talks about sex shit.
She has a master's in botany.
It's I just love
Is that true, or are you just saying that by the picture?
I just made that up.
Okay. Very convincing. Very convincing.
You're dating.
I just love that she loves to have a plug in and she walks around all day and with the plug in her. Sometimes it falls out, sometimes it
I don't know
doesn't.
about the leg brace.
That's a bad sign, man. It's
Dude,
freaking
she's-
falling out.
She's sexy though. Oh, sexy. She is sexy.
Some days she wants you to be that plug. Some days she doesn't.
Yep.
Sometimes you're the windshield. Sometimes you're the plug.
Yeah.
But man, I look forward to all of her shorts. I subscribe to her on YouTube. Fucking,
Simping.
she is
Simping.
my.
Kyle Stinson. Kyle Stinson is now Kyle Stintz.
I linked my bank account.
Kyle Simpson.
So that's it. That's yummy. You're right.
We got our what the fuck moment of the week.
The,
And I
a
hand it
Florida
over to-
man story.
Who picked this? Was it Hartman?
I picked it.
Okay. Go ahead, Kyle.
Hold on, I got to bring it up because it's too.
Do you want me to read it?
No, I got it. I was gonna make sure your glasses comment on when Cliff first came on, but she already had him on. So, but okay, we're gonna go with we got a Florida man story. 2 people in Florida were arrested after one of them called 911 to get them to help moving their belongings from the home that they were burglarizing. It says, while talking to deputies, the female suspect told them that she called 911 for the purpose of having law enforcement help them move their belongings from the house they were burglarizing. They also wanted to get a ride to the airport so they could spend the weekend in New York.
Jeez.
Deputies did help them with their belongings and did give them a ride, but it wasn't to the airport. It was to the Pokey, the sheriff's office said, and they are welcome to stay there all weekend long. And the Pokey is much better than New York anyway. But who the fuck calls the police to help you move shit that you're stealing?
The same
need
person
that
that calls
stuff in
911
Ann
because they're gonna die when they're high.
I
When they smoke too much
dying!
weed. Yeah.
I go to the same smoke shop to get my my vapes. And the girl that works there, she's pretty cool. I told her about the podcast. She fucking promotes it to like everybody that comes into the smoke shop, which is kind of cool.
Look at this guy.
This ain't even our house.
But I went in and I was like, she's like, I haven't seen you in a while. And I was like, oh, I said, and she's like, yeah, I didn't come in yesterday. I ate a brownie and I had to call into work. She thought she was going to die. She's like, someone told me to drink milk with it. So I did. And it made it fucking worse. So, but yeah, but I just, who the fuck really does that?
Oh, Florida.
Well, poor Florida.
Gotta love Florida.
We need help moving our stuff. This ain't even our stuff, but I bet you she talked her ass into jail. That's my
So
guess.
they didn't get to go to New York. That's a bummer. So that is my what the fuck segment of the week since Hartman doesn't do it anymore.
You took it over and I just let it go.
That's a segment that's tailor made for you too, Hartman, and you just let it go.
I know.
Yeah,
Let it slip by.
since half the time you say stuff, that's our response.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
So
Let it go.
just
Yeah.
let it go. Let it go.
I used to be a piece of shit.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
I
No.
used to.
So we got dodgeball left.
All right. I just did. We had a technical issue, so I am sorry that the clip that I posted this week was from 3 weeks ago. So we play in outdoor racquetball courts, and we depend on the school where they're at to set the proper timer for the lights at the racquetball court. And we start at 8 o'clock because that's late enough that the lights should be on. Well, this week we got there at 7:45, which is when the lights are usually on, and they didn't come on. And then the lights didn't come on at 8:00. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? Well, the school happened to be open. So we went into the school and we just took over a little practice gym. And I didn't want to have a camera on because I didn't want there to be evidence that we were there.
Wait, you were
So-
able to just walk in?
You toilet
Yeah.
paper the school?
Yeah, well, the basketball team was practicing in the gym across the hall.
They had it unlocked for them.
Yeah. So we just pretended like we belonged and we played dodgeball inside. And it worked pretty well.
I tried that at a high school one time. I went to this other high school that was not my high school, and I tried it, and I walked in there, and right away they're like, "We know you don't go here."
I told you not to come back.
They fucking kicked me out, fuckers. They knew it.
So-
You're up like a bad check.
So sorry, I don't have a highlight this week because we didn't turn on a video. But we had a good time. We are still fundraising for Italy. We still would appreciate anybody donating or buying a shirt. And if anybody is interested in supporting Triple D Dodgeball, you can always check us out at Triple D Dodgeball on Instagram. Right here, it's in my name there. So we'd appreciate your support. We just reached 500 followers on Instagram. And I post stuff there at least once a week, new highlights once a week. And we love, most of our followers are either dodgeballers or comic book people from Renovision, from, all the other podcasts we've been on in the past. So we really appreciate your guys' support, and hopefully you guys enjoy it like we do too.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So thanks everybody for showing up, hanging out. We appreciate it.
We got a guest coming on next week too. Who's our interview next week?
Aaron Beechin, another comic book guy.
Not the GIMP.
Not
Still-
the GIMP.
We're still searching
Pulp
for the
Fiction.
GIMP from Pulp Fiction.
One of these days we'll get him. We have to get him now. It's like a must.
Yeah.
Even though we wouldn't have much to talk to him about. We'd
Oh, we'd have a lot.
what was it like writing Boy Meets World?
What do you think about AI?
Do you feel ashamed?
Are you in fact also from Indianapolis?
Hardman,
He's from the
Hardman,
UK.
you could be our AI. You could do like a whole shtick of AI where you're just, we never see your face because you are AI.
Just let me look up the AI questions here. I gotta ask. Well, it'll tell me it doesn't do opinions and shit like that, or it'll tell me it can't do something. Trust me.
In other words, think for yourself.
Yes, thank you for Cliff Chiang so much for stopping by and talking with us. It was a very good interview. Tyson says, "I want the GIMP."
All right, we're on it.
Hopefully that interview redeemed our last attempt. So I think it did.
I think it did.
I believe
good.
it did.
But Kyle, are you coming back?
Oh, he's
No,
coming.
gone.
No, he's gone. All right. Well, unlike when Marco was on this show, we're going to give
Sorry.
you a proper ending instead of just ending the episode abruptly on you.
Power
Um,
move.
Thank you, everyone in the chat, for joining us tonight. Greatest chat as always. You got to love the chat on Renovision,
I loved
especially.
how quiet the chat was
Yes.
while we interviewed Cliff. Not
Yes.
one fucking question. Thank you.
Right. But hey, I love the chat here on Saturday
Hey.
nights. Definitely beats the chat on Wednesdays. I feel like it's more insightful and less spiteful.
I love everybody that stops in to see us.
but
I love it. I love everybody that takes the time out of their Saturday night to come and hang out with us. I appreciate each and every one of you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, if you follow
Thank
me
you,
on
everyone.
Triple D Dodgeball, I always like your stuff. I will follow you
I
back. and
try.
like-
I forget. It's not easy to hit a heart.
Huh, Sticks, I always like your stuff, don't I?
You do. You do.
Hardman,
It's
I do
really
too.
hard.
I'm trying to call you out, Herbert.
all right. Well, on that note, thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you so much for joining us this
Thank you,
week.
Tyson.
Another Friday in the books.
We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you, Tyson. And we'll see you guys right back here next week. Same
Saturday. He
SNS
meant
time.
Saturday. Matt meant Saturday.
What did I say?
Friday.
Oh, force a habit, man.
Wrong fucking show, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Force a habit. But thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday. And we'll see you guys right back here next Saturday night. Same SNS time, same SNS place.
On Renovision.
On Renovision.
And Absolute Geek.
And
Absolute Geek. Have a great Saturday. Good night.
Thanks, Joe.